Check out Joe, he's a Reddit bro, likes to edit posts, and he starts to glow when he gets the most of votes or likes. Yeah, he's really hyped, really psyched, cause the crowd is really tight and the work is really light. His training plan is the first thing your eyes see, cause he got more follows than my boy Eric Dicey. Opinions on Magnus, Hans, and Karyakin, who cheated who, which engine that he hacking. He got blocked by Short, ignored by Dvorak, but he can't be wrong, he scored a like from Truan. He's got lightning attacks on GM blunders and gaffes, true not over the board, it's only the other chat. Still his 7-year plan ensures the last laugh. Distractions detract from any actual actions. Excuses are useless, he rues his inaction. Awaits satisfaction, the status of Magnus. He bought 50 books and opened up 10. Fools ought to read Psalms, not my system. He's got 30 all accounts on every site around. Chessable courses keep looking cheaper by the pound. He got 22 databases and 36 engines, 25 chess sets, and a massive clock collection. He bought merch from Gotham, Bra and Naka, but his game history looked like some chess copy pasta. A GM coach that he don't listen to, and if you think it is, then yes, my friend, yes, this is you. But that all changed one bright sunny day when a friend said, hey, don't you know, welcome to the dojo, it's good to grow. Welcome to the dojo, I gave up on the easy. Sweatwork's what we need, G. Sweatwork's what I believe, waiting's what I'll receive. Don't you know, welcome to the dojo, it's good to grow. Welcome to the dojo, I stepped away from easy. Sweatwork's what we need, G. If sweatwork's what I believe, waiting's what I'll receive. So Joe got into the business, stopped the app sickness, daily practices with.
All right, my friends, let's start this show. And today we're going to do, first of all, the grads for people who are in the 1100 plus cohorts. And then we're going to do Norway chess. And maybe David will join us, not sure. So let's get into it. A lot of graduates this week, so I did 2 shows. And the first up, we have a hero of the dojo, skier Brian. Let's see what he has to say. Boom. Loving Dojo 4.0, and of course the program is working for me. Community is amazing. Thank you for helping me get my family in. We have a family plan now. Well, I should just say we're working on the family plan, and skier Brian kind of helped prod us to come up with something. And we're still a little rough around the edges on how we do that, but I think we're going to get it dialed in soon. I confess that I am rebelling a little, as I have started Hammers, my first opening course as black, and I really want to determine an opening repertoire for white. I just won a book in my last tournament on the Collie with a bunch of Collie's games. Your guidance on the right opening study would be appreciated, but none would be difficult to swallow. Well, let's go look, because I think at 1100, 1200, you do get a touch. Skier Brian, you do get a touch. So, this guy's like my alter ego, and he has got this beautiful USCF rating. Now, we're going to go training plan, and we're going to go openings, and we have him doing, I think it's going to be 1 hour of each of the openings, right? So, well, actually, that looks. Wait a second. Show completed task 3. I'm a little confused why it says 3 out of 4 complete. Like, where are the other ones? Oh, I want to see show completed task. There we go. Right. So the main thing we want you to do in this cohort is to get a defense against e4. Now, I can tell that's unacceptable to you. I get it. Let me just explain the reasoning a little bit. The biggest thing any player will need to do opening-wise, whether you're a GM or, or super GM, is you need a defense against e4. Why is that? Because e4 is the one where it's the most violent and the most forcing, less positional. So that's why we want you to focus on doing this. Now, why don't we have skier Brian? Why don't we have more? Now, for example, you're doing this hammer course, right? Fine. We actually had him on the show, podcast, and he talked about that course. But why wouldn't we do all this other stuff? Because first of all, your opponents aren't going to be playing a bunch of theoretical moves. You might think they are, but they're not. What you're going to actually be seeing are loads of games. We'll probably see it on the show. Loads of games where people lose tempi in the opening. And honestly, that's the thing we want you to get good at. So there's a lot of lost opportunity when you go do all this opening stuff. I get it though, how what you want is you want this feeling of confidence, of like, I know what I'm doing, instead of cries dumb, learning how to develop stuff, right? You're like, Cry, give me a break, buddy. What do you mean? And it's harder because I want you to really get a feel for what good opening moves are. And that's far more important than any of this opening stuff, though you are allowed now to get a defense to e4. Notice though, we're not having you do a bunch of work here. We just have 1 hour of building response and 1 hour of sparring, and you've already done that of the building response. Well, Marble, it depends on what level you are, but in general, if you go to the dojo training program, it will tell you what to do. Like for example, Skier Brian, you've got a great start on these maiden twos. Oh man, you've got a great start in this read logical chess move by move. Great. Forget about the openings for a while. Do that, and you're going to graduate. And then when you graduate, to 1200, that carrot, more opening study will be waiting for you. All right, let's look. I think he's got moms and dads, I'm going to guess. Boston, yeah, there we go. 50 plus, 130 dudes. I'm in that one too. So let's check out a game with Skier Brian. By the way, let's just observe Skier Brian is really crushing it since November, right? And the rating graph is just showing it. He's doing the work and he's getting the progress. Right? Beautiful. All right. So let's take a look at a game. This is going to be an OTB. Great. Do we have a times? We do. Oh, very nice times from both players. Very nice times. This might be Skier Brian's first view of his rating, his clock management rating. And in general, what we see at this level are people moving way too fast, but here we're going to say both players played really GM level time management skills here. So that was great. Okay. So let's take a look. All right. Fine. Interesting, you say black is better here. Hard to imagine. Hard to imagine. C3, bishop d7, a little weird. Good. A6, a little weird. Bishop e2. Bishop e2 is fine. I like bishop d3 better just because it looks more active. C takes. I don't like it. C takes. Now, why don't I like it, by the way? Because it gives you this beautiful square for knight c3. By the way, can we just say something, Skier Brian? This whole stuff with e5, if you wanted to study it, and go real deep, you could. But look what you've done. You're playing somebody who might have a sense of what, I don't know, maybe they learned bishop d7, a6 in the book, but they're not playing it right now. They're blowing it. Okay, bishop b5, not developing. Now, we do want to say that black is doing this with a purpose. He's trying to get rid of his bad bishop. And one of the interesting things, actually, just about chess in general, is that the old-timers were willing to sacrifice time to do something like this. And now, with our modern sense of dynamic play, we're like, oh, the winning of tempi is actually going to end up costing black in the long run, i.e. it's not worth it. So he spent a6 was a move he spent. Bishop b5. So he's losing several tempi, and when he takes on e2, he's going to give you another tempo because when you recapture, that'll be with your queen. Solid. I don't know why you think black is better, or maybe that's a missed click there because you said black is a little bit better. Oh, cry. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I blew it a little bit. I blew it. Now, every time I reboot my computer, I don't know why, but I got to do this reboot of this. All right, so there we are. So that's what I was saying. He's got a little black is better. Doesn't make sense to me. I think white is doing fine. You're up a lot of time. Good move. 97. Maybe knight h6. Interesting. Now notice, it's taking him a lot of time to develop. Here, however, you have a issue which has nothing to do with the opening and everything to do with coming up with a plan. You play bishop g5, and what I like about bishop g5 is even if it's not a plan, you are defaulting to development, right? Great. Now, there's a lot of fancy things, GM level things I could say about this position, but you know what? I'm not going to say them. Good move. Fine. Queen b6. Breaking the pin and putting pressure on d4, b2. I still think I am winning or equal. Stockfish says no. When we evaluate the position, should we put what we think or what Stockfish thinks? Let's see, actually, I think what you put what you think. And after the game, you can put what Stockfish thinks. Now, you took on e7, and this is terrible. And you write, this wastes time and develops my opponent's bad bishop. Why am I solving their tempo problems? Oh, I remember why now, because if I did not capture the knight, then the knight will play knight ef5 and attack d4 a third time. Okay. So the question, though, is, could you find something else? And what we should say is, well, probably you will be able to find something else. Maybe it's not easy, but we should be able to find something here. Okay. I would say a basic one would be develop the rook, defend your coconut, let's say d2 or d3. I'm not sure yet. Yeah, I'm not sure yet. One of those ones. And what we really want to do, actually, is if he takes it, we're dreaming anyway of bringing the queen over here. So, for example, bishop e7, queen g3. We want to get that queen in front. Now, I want to say that wasn't highly satisfying to me either. One of the problems about playing against the French is, you know, these people are animals. These people are animals. And our bishop, I didn't like bishop g5, it's got to be said, but I didn't. That was GM knowledge. Okay, I still think you're doing fine here because of your active development. But it's true, knight f5 is going to be a pain. It is just really, it's unfair, honestly, what's going on here. That's unfair. It is unfair how this went down. Hold on. Unfair. I don't have a great answer. I don't have a great answer here. Okay, so let's see what happened. Boom, boom. You call this equal. Here, I'd rather be black because that bishop on e7 is so strong. Okay, good. Here. Here. Okay, you're building. Let's play knight e2 now. Good move. Queen b6. Now, the challenge in any French position is going to be how can you create drama against the king side. Now, I want to stress, this is some more high-level things, but, and this will be kind of your task, especially when you get more like 1600 to get a grip on what this all, like the standard plans are. So white's pawns are pointing this way, black's pawns are pointing this way. Might sound metaphysical, But what usually that tells us is that white needs to attack the king side and black wants to attack the queen side. So let's see if you came up with an idea. Knight g3, knight a5, fine. You took once. I don't know, giving him the c file freaks me out. And then you played knight d2, which is slow. But I understand why you did it. And now we're in a little trouble. Rook c1, snip. He's a little bit better. Okay. Rook c2, okay. Queen b3. Now we need a good move. h3. I don't know if he was threatening anything, but all right. Here, and now we're in a little grief. First of all, your opponent's playing great. I love what your opponent's doing. And you talk about queen d3 and cd, but that's not happy. No one's happy about that because he'll take on b2 and all those variations. So you fell apart. Now, by the way, Hammer in his video, or in his course, one of the things he said on our podcast that actually applies here is that if you are going to learn an opening against e4, you want to do something like the Caro or the French because it's a little bit easier to understand. And black, I thought, played this very well. Yeah. So things went bad, and I'll give you my GM sense of the position in a little bit. We are truly falling apart here. Your opponent played great, dude. Played great. Okay, maybe this is a higher, feels like a higher rated opponent that you're facing in an OTB tournament. Okay, so let's go back and just to show you how beautiful chess is. You have time here. You have some tempi, and you need to figure out how to do it, right? How to play the position. Now, actually, I want to start a little earlier. Once we understand what our, just call it general plan of action is, then this kind of position becomes a little easier to understand. So what is our plan? Now we know that we have to make drama over here, and we need to consolidate the d4 point. I am certain there are many ways to play the position, but what I think here that appeals to me is knight c3. We are never afraid of bishop b4 because we want to trade this thing off anyway. Let's say he takes. We'll take. Your move wasn't terrible, but why am I doing this? Because I want to control this, and I want to have my knight able to go attack the king side. Okay? I don't know. Knight c6, and now I'm going to make a move you're not going to like. But I just want to show you what GM levels think it is. Boom. What are we doing? We're playing on our side of the board. Is it freaky because you're not castling? Yeah. Okay. Now, one of the weird things about you learning a bunch of opening courses is they'll do stuff like this, and then you have to understand it. And it's like, oh, man. And honestly, Skier Brian, I think if you, even though this game went poorly, you were playing a higher rated opponent, and you defaulted to development, and that's what you should be doing right now. Because this, first of all, it's not going to be in any open, maybe, I mean, you'd have to really study a lot of lines before you came up with this, right? And here, black can do all kinds of things. Play h5, develop normally. What is white's next move? Probably h5. I want space on that side of the board. I want to defend this thing. Later, my king might go to f1. I'm feeling pretty flexible on it. I'm going to use this as a pivot point if he plays h5. Okay? So don't feel bad about that one, Skier Brian. Don't feel bad. And one thing to say is I think your opponent is playing, I didn't like cd4. I think bishop b5 is probably better. But here he is doing something, even if it is not the greatest. He is getting rid of his bad bishop. And if we don't do something with the time that we're given, the tempi, then he will slowly become better, as happens in this game. So don't feel bad about that one. And don't worry about the openings. As you can see, that I know that this bishop d7, a6 thing exists. I've played the French for years, but I haven't looked at this. I don't have any memorized lines. I just have a sense of what's happening in the position. And you get that from analyzing your games, studying master games, and not really from studying openings. Okay, spiel is over, cry. Let's move on. Congratulations, Brian Smith. Next up, we have MPN. I got to go back to the grad show. MPN says, have played chess on and off for a while. Just started out with the dojo, looking forward to improve with the program. Beautiful. So let's give MPN a follow. Just started. A lot of times people just start and they don't have anything much with games and stuff or activity, but he does have a game for us. So this is a 30 plus 30. Let me just check one thing here. So he's an 1100, 1200. If I go games and analysis, and I go play. So 30 plus 30 is still okay for where he's at. Great. That's what I thought. You'd think I'd memorize that by now, what our standard time controls are, but sometimes I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. All right, first let's see if we got some time. Look at this. We're going to show the time graph. Boom. Here, okay, I want to just, this little minor apology. This is a dojo apology. To dojo, first to skier Brian, because I didn't show his time graph. And second of all, one little glitch we have with our time rating is for the faster time controls, we don't have the rating set up yet. I don't know why, okay? I don't know why, but I have asked Jack about it, and I think he's on it. But you can see, in general, that both of these players did a fine job with their time management. Okay, boom. So, let's get into it. Is this all right? Yeah, looks fine. Now, boom, 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 boom. B4, a little weird. Fine. By the way, here's a great example of not needing to, or you shouldn't be studying openings. As long as you make principled moves here, you're going to be fine. Good. B5. Now you can do a variety of things. To my mind, A6 makes a lot of sense. What are you trying to do with A6? You're trying to develop your rook. You could do other things. D5's fine. Okay. Okay. All right. Here, maybe AB followed by rook A1. Fine. A little weird. And bishop A3. Bishop A3, why is that incorrect? Because he's not developing. All right, we're going to see that a lot at this level. So we don't want to take, because that develops one of his pieces, so maybe queen E7. Rook A3, a little weird. AB. AB, rook A3, knight A3, queen A5. Good. Now, technically, you're developing the knight to A3, but that knight's a chump. He's not going anywhere. Bishop D7 is a little weird. Why? Because your knight might want to use that D7 square. What would be the move that you know you have to make here? It would be castles. Good. Notice, so now what I really want you to see is that you have failed to feel the pain of this knight. Because honestly, we want to be doing that kind of thing first. All right, 94. C3 is a very weird move that no one understands. C4 makes sense. And you're saying it prevents him from castling? Nah, I doubt it. I bet he could castle. Well, maybe he can't. Maybe he can't, Jesse. Take it easy, bud. All right, but C3 isn't it. That's not it. Boom. This one I don't know. Because now we have a weak pawn on B7. Snip. Snop. Snook. You did fix your knight. Castles. Rook A8, good. D3, maybe unnecessary from him. And now knight E1, terrible move. I was very happy when he played this move as I felt this connected his rook from entering the game, absolutely, and gave me time to get my pieces to better squares and create threats. Right, So what should his, first of all, d3 was a poor move. What would he need to do? Rook b1. You don't have to think about that. That's just where the guy's going, right? That's where we're going. Okay, so d3, and this is a horrendo move. Oh my gosh. Queen b6. Now, I want to admit, I'm not sure I understand queen b6. I would say the easy move to play would be probably queen a1 or a2, one of those moves. I don't know if I get it. I don't know if I get that either. h6 or something to fix your king would be right. Now so what happened? You gave him time to fix his business. Rook d8, and now he finally plays rook b1. And you say, this allows my rook to get in and pin the knight to the queen and cause back rank make threats. And you talk about knight cd4, good move. All right, in principle, absolutely correct. Rook d2. That wasn't it, huh? Boom, boom, bam. Welcome to the dojo. Welcome to the dojo. All right, well done over there. Simple chess. The guy even plays knight e1. So well done, MPN. And yeah, you just got to the dojo. I'm sure you will start doing more stuff on this heat map, more stuff in terms of submitting games. Beautiful thing. Okay, now we have a hero of the dojo, Aegon. Oh boy, reaching the same cohort using USCF rather than Chess.com has been very challenging. Jesse, you said 1,800 by the end of the year was unreasonable, but if I can get to 1,500 USCF, can you arrange a freestyle rap battle with David? I think that's fair, dude. That's fair. And let me stress, 1,500 by the end of the year. We got, we're at mid-year here, basically, right? We're basically midway through. I think, I think that's also a very hard road. I want to see that rap battle, so I would almost want to say like maybe 1,300. Maybe 1,300. I'll try to arrange that rap battle. But you better be good on your game with the rap, dude, because David will smoke people. All right, PhD in economics, fervent socialist. Oh, yes, you're going to get along with David, dude. But I don't know if he likes the socialists. Sometimes the communists and the socialists, they hate each other even more than they hate the capitalists, dude. Proud Chilean. Wrote this bio after watching Jesse complain that nobody wrote anything about themselves. So there you go. Would like to challenge David to a freestyle rap battle. Okay, beautiful stuff. Now, first of all, Aegon has graduated numerous times. And he went, and he looks like he's using the USCF now, whereas previously maybe he was using Chess.com. He's doing his tactics tests. The tactics tests very consonant with where he's at. So this is all looking great, and I'm impressed. Look at this work. Also November, lots of tactics in there. Beautiful. Yeah. And he is playing a lot of games. This is a new feature we have at the dojo. You can see this 70. Whoa. I got to fix my layout here. Fix the layout, Jesse. Fix it, my friend. I sometimes use this layout for other things, which I shouldn't do, but I sometimes do, and so it gets capoodled. Now, there we go. Let me make it just a touch smaller so we can see that beautiful heat map that Aegon's got there. Okay, good. As you can see, the man is working, and you can see his beautiful picture there. Okay. So he's doing great. 523 points of change. Slaying it. All right. So maybe we'll get a socialist club. Maybe we get a socialist or a communist club. All right, here we go. Games. Now, I'd kind of like to do the 90-30 because that looks longer. These also look like they are, well, we'll see. Maybe this is an OTB game. Do we have a time graph? No. So a grief is, I say this all the time, it's nice to manually put in your times if you're doing the OTB. It can feel like a lot of work, especially during the game, but even during the game, I believe it will help you have a sense of what's going on. Okay, game review. All right, this is a proper tournament. Okay. All right. Boom. Fine. Fine. It's fine. But white needs to be aware that we just fixed the bishop on c8. Bishop f5. Now, I think this is questionable because of queen b3. Touching two coconuts at the same time. At least I'm not sure how it's going to go down after that. Bishop f4. c6, good move. Knight f6, fine. Bishop b4. I think this might have been an inaccuracy, question mark. White is trying to contest the e6 square with his pieces. I think you mean e5. So trading the dark square bishop seems sensible. However, this is white's bad bishop, correct? And you talk about bishop d6. Now, one of the things we can say about this position is that a key problem in the position for white is getting the bishop out. And you've done that. You've also, because you've achieved both c6 and bishop f5, meaning that you can always meet queen b3 with queen b6. Okay. Excuse me. So you're doing fine. He might have to play bishop d3 himself because your bishop on f5 is strong. Now, I have sympathy for not wanting to play bishop d6, and bishop e7 is a totally fine move. The problem with bishop b4 is you never want to ever take that thing because that's your good bishop, and that's his worst piece because this knight is dominated by this pawn. All right, we snip. Good. Okay. And now moment of truth. And you took it. And you say, I think this was the right call. Although I'm giving up the bishop pair, white's recapture generates a weak c-pawn, which now I would want to pressure. Okay. Would I have taken that thing? I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to. But it is true that we're losing a lot of time and coordination when we play bishop e7. So, okay, let's call it equal. I think queen takes, I would rather be white, okay? But all right, let's look at pawn takes. b5, interesting move. This was probably a mistake. I was afraid of knight e4, c4. Now, we got to say knight e4, c4. He's better. He's a little better. So the question becomes, he might be, by the way, I think he might be better anyway in this position. Not dramatically better. Now you wanted to do knight e4, c4 here. But it's got to be said, if you take back with the pawn, maybe you should take back with the queen, honestly, but if you take back with the pawn, this guy is just permanently so weak. And, you know, h3 is a good default move for white, and there's no counterplay, and he's going to wiggle you. He's going to wiggle you in here. Okay, so b5, a4, a6, rook a2. Your b5 move, honestly, it's at least a challenge for the guy. a4, a6, rook a2. And then you say knight e4 was probably a mistake. Knight b6 definitely is nice because it clarifies the situation for you. I'm not even sure. Yeah, it's an interesting position. I'm not sure how this was supposed to go down. You could still play knight b6, by the way. It's just that now we got to do this nasty thing. Okay. And now you play queen h4. Here I was playing hope chess. I didn't see that the queen can move to c8 and defend the pawn, and that there is no rook a6. Very good. I thought the pawn would fall and calculated that giving up the exchange was better than 3 pawns. And one thing we should say is, I don't know exactly what's going on in this position, but White has got a real question mark on his hands, because if he allows you to attain that, then you're at least okay. And of course, you could have gotten this whole version a lot better if you'd played, as you noted, knight b6 on that move earlier. So queen h4 feels a little bit like you've getting maybe a little tired or something. You know, you're just like, screw it, I want to kill this guy. g3. I don't know about g3. Maybe g3, but now he's given his bishop a problem. Okay, queen f6. And then you're falling to knight d7. Got it. But now I don't know what's happening here, but I just want to stress, if I was White, this would be the move that would scare me a little bit. I want to stress I have no idea exactly what's happening, but the general point would be that on knight c6, black has 2 interesting options. Maybe 3. Knight f2 followed by queen h2, and then also g5, saying that the bishop isn't going to have any great squares to go to. Bishop e5, we have f6, and we're covering all the others. We could go to b8, but that would be its own weird thing. And then the third option would be knight b6. So I wasn't convinced by g3. A real boneheaded thing to do here would just be to play bishop. Now, maybe it's got something better, but just here, because that's your good piece. And so now he says, well, how are you going to not lose this? Rook a6 next. You know, that would be the boomer GM way to play. Okay, here we go. Queen f6. Now we fall for this bad news. And now we're toast. e4, good move. Actually, I mean, it's in principle good, but rook a6 seems cleaner to keep your knight out. Well, maybe you could play queen c8 then. Okay. Nice move. Oh, he's busting you up pretty good. Oh, but he blew it. I even called him busting it up. I was like, it's the right idea, but uh-oh. Okay. Now, are you still in trouble? Probably. You talk about, yeah, it's rough here. So this, though, isn't going to work, right? Because the bishop's stronger than the knight and all those other stories. And now we're done, I guess. Okay, so that was a really good annotation. Yeah, that was a very good annotation. And one thing we should say is you're getting an first exposure to what we call the Carlsbad structure, right? And so here the standard moves would be c6 or knight f6, but the big strategic things to say is that once you achieve this, you're fine, right? Once you achieve c6, because you're totally solid and your bishop's out. I don't want to get too theoretical, but the kind of big theory line would be here, 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 and then a lot of times they'll play like e3, with the point that on bishop f5, which you would like to do, they now will double your pawns. This is a whole big old debate controversy thing. Okay, so well done. Let's move on. We got Tom. Tom doesn't tell us anything. Doesn't have any points, so maybe just a new member that graduated. We'll see. Nothing going on in Tom Myers' life. No clubs, no games. So join the sometimes we have these ghost people. They did graduate. He did graduate. He's doing something right, but I don't know. You know, he's not doing the dojo way, whatever it is he's doing. He's definitely doing the path, the chess way. All right, next up we have Julio Chobo. All right, we're going to give Julio a follow. Now we're getting up there a little bit. Now we're in the 1400s. People are getting stronger. Julio's done a little bit of tactics work. Joined way back in 23, but we're going to guess was inactive for a while. Maybe just recently came back a little bit. So, tactics rating kind of commensurate with where he is. Clubs, no. Games, we got 1. Okay, so this is a 45. And basically, Julio, we want you to come back, buddy. We want you to come back. All right, here we go. So first, we got a time graph? No, we don't. So we're going to go game review. Round 2 of the... Okay, thank you. And let's get into it. 45-45 league. This is Julio. This is some kind, it's called the Nimzovich variation. Well done. Well done. Well done. The starting position from which I started to prepare. Okay. Right, so he did a lot of prep and his opponent ended up doing something different. Now, it looks like he knew what this, I don't know. But he was still prepared for this pawn sack thing. So either he knew his opponent was going to maybe play this, I don't know. But he's very prepared here. Boom. 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 Right here, I was out of book, which shows a lack of understanding and opening preparation. I don't know. He's playing some weird stuff, dude. He's playing some weird stuff. Are you to blame that he's playing weird stuff? I don't think so. Bishop b5 is very controversial for an obvious reason. Yeah. So, I think e takes d6 has got to be the move. Got to be the move. Now, bishop b5, and let's just see what's going on with queen a5 here. What is incredible is that it took more than 6 minutes that I took more than 6 minutes on bishop b5 and didn't do a simple checks, captures, and threats verification. Right after it, I spotted queen a5 immediately and despair. So, goal for the next classical game, always double check. Now, one of the things that gives me despair is you've done all this amazing opening prep. I mean, this Nimzovich line of the Sicilian is truly an odd animal. It is not something that we regularly see. So, and also this pawn sack thing that he did. So you've done all this amazing prep, and then you fall for this. It's kind of like confirming a lot of my prejudices of like you're doing the wrong thing, right? You're doing the wrong thing. Also, if we had the times, then it would be great for us to see kind of like, you know, what's going on. Now, I think you're lost after queen a5. Yeah. And I don't know exactly how he's going to play on e takes d6. But my guess would be maybe bishop d6 with the threat of this cheapo. And, you know, to claim that he's got a little bit, let's stress little bit of play for the pawn. Okay, let's see if he gave you a chance. He's got the piece and the compensation here. Yeah, that's a good move. That's a good move. That's fine. That's fine. Bishop c2, huh? Desperado, but wait, what happened? a4. Okay, so he says a4, great move. Now, Are we claiming that black is in trouble or something like this? Boom, boom. Now he doesn't have to play bishop d3. He's up a piece. He's up a piece, man. What are we doing here? I don't understand any of this. So, at the bare minimum, he could go bishop d3, bc, and then bishop e4. Then there's questions about, can he move the knight somewhere? Why doesn't he keep his piece, for example, on knight d8? It's an ugly looking move, but I don't see how you win a piece. I also don't see how you win a piece on knight b8. Now, still, I'm not saying a4 wasn't a good try. Your opponent freaked out here, right? Okay, and so now all of a sudden we have an interesting endgame where you're just a little bit worse. BC, fail. I think that's a fail. Well, actually, let me slow it down. Let me slow it down. So the problem would be if rook c8, either one of them, you could play bishop c3, and on bishop takes, you snip. Okay, so that's why he does this. And you write, now I'm just a pawn down, but with excellent drawing chances. And you play f3. Okay. Just looking. All right. Rook b8, that looks superficial to me. Bishop c3, good move. One thing, and you probably felt this, but your king is better. So that's one of the reasons that you have every reason to hope. And against this level of opposition, you might even get winning chances. All right, this looks poor because now you have a good bishop. Now you have the rooks. Fine. H4 maybe. Okay, I kind of. You got other moves too. Okay, now we don't want to make that trade. Rook d8. Oh, maybe. No, I don't. Well, okay, maybe. Here I wrote, I suspected he wanted to go for a bishop ending, but it should still be a draw with best play, I think. And although I am far removed from best play, more accurate words have never been spoken. I just want to say against this guy, he's played so poorly, I would play rook c6 hoping to win the game. Okay, because we're going to play h5 next. He can't really move. I might be able to squiggle and wiggle, you know. All right, bishop d8. Now, in general, that's the wrong square for the pawn. He wants to put his pawns on the light squares. So g6 looks much better to me. Good move. Good move. Okay, and now probably king d5. Good move. g6. All right. Good move. I like that. All right, now we need a plan. You played bishop d2. That's fine. You're playing great. See, now you're the one. Your opponent played soft, and now you're the one. Oh, another pawn on the wrong color. This felt like a minor step in the wrong direction, but black is near Zugzwang. Bishop e3, and now he blew it. c4. Yeah, it looks awful. So you took, and now we have a big calculation decision. Here it would be nice to know what the clock time situation was, right? Okay. So, king c4. We can go back to king c6 if we need to. And now you played king d4, king b5, king c7, king a6, correctamundo here. And now you have king a7 and b3. Yeah, it's very fancy. And also h6 is a move that we'd want to consider. Is it hot? Yeah, it's hot. But the point would be h6, king c5, B3, and we should be winning this bad boy. Yeah. Hey, can you create your own training plan or switch the test? Yes, you can. All right, so King D4 would be great to know the times. B5. Oh, this is hot. H6. That doesn't look right. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, no. This was definitely a mistake. So he just needed to play King F7, right? And now we go back. We say thank you very much. Boom. Whoo, good. By the way, one thing I want to say about this, Julio, that you've done really well is I see so many dojo games that are really well annotated about the opening and then the early middle game. And you did a lot of good analysis in this end game where it becomes clear, right, that like, oh man, there's a lot of complicated things going on. And here you're winning. Crispy critters. Yeah. Okay. Well done. Big focus on opening preparation has not worked so far. Right. Skier Brian, who might listen to this later, take note. This is somebody who is stronger than you are. He actually has a lot of opening stuff to do in his training program. Not considering opponent's resources. That bishop b5 thing was definitely painful. I played the end game terribly until the very end. Okay. Need to work on calculation. By the way, the best way to work on that end game calculation is what you did by analyzing your game. Yeah. And he had low time at the end. Again, we could get maybe a time graph next time. Okay. In general, that was great. Ali says, how can you do that? Let's see here. So, actually, for your amusement, I'll do this. One of the things I need to actually do is I go to my profile and we go, let's say the task that I'm going to create is in games and analysis. So the first thing you want to say is to yourself, whatever task it is you want to do, you want to say which bucket it belongs in. The task I'm going to create belongs in the games and analysis bucket. So I'm going to hit custom task. I'm going to say Norway analysis. Okay. And so Norway. It's a big tournament that's going on. We did some analysis, me and David, yesterday. And so I'll say update progress, and I want to say 5:28, and I did about 2 hours there yesterday, and I say update. I don't have this option. Is that only for premium members? Yeah. There's, and I'll say, Ali, it's worth it, buddy. It's worth it, bud. There's so much that you get with the premium. Okay, great. Let's go back. Boom. And we'll say this is Julio. And now we have Tackman Jones. But you know what? I'm going to go get myself a coffee. Why? Because I deserve it. And we'll be right back.
Welcome to the dojo.
Check out Joe, he's a Reddit bro, likes to edit posts, and he starts to gloat when he gets the most of votes or likes. Yeah, he's really hyped, really psyched, cause the club is really tight and the work is really light. His training plan is the first thing your eyes see, cause he got more follows than my boy Eric Dicey. Opinions on Magnus, hands, and Karyakin, who cheated who, which engine
That
did he
ain't
hack, and
mouse.
he got blocked by short, ignored ignored by Dvorak, but he can't be wrong. He scored a like from Truan. He's got lightning attacks on GM blunders and gaffes. True, not over the board. It's only the other chat. Still, his 7-year plan ensures the last laugh. Distractions detract from any actual actions. Excuses are useless. He rues his inaction. Awaits satisfaction. The status of Magnus. He bought 50 books and opened up 10. Fools ought to read Psalms, not my system. He's got 30 all accounts on every site around. Chessable courses keep looking cheaper by the pound. He got 22 databases and 36 engines, 25 chess sets, and a massive clock collection. He bought merch from Gotham, Bra and Naka, but his game history looked like some chess copy pasta. A GM coach that he don't listen to, and if you think it is, then yes, my friend, yes, this is you. But that all changed one bright sunny day when a friend said, hey, don't you know? Welcome to the dojo. It's good to grow. Welcome to the dojo. I gave up on the easy. Sweatwork's what we need, G. Sweatwork's what I believe. Rating's what I'll receive. Don't you know? Welcome to the dojo. It's good to grow. Welcome to the dojo. I stepped away from easy. Sweatwork's what we need, G. If sweatwork's what I believe. Rating's what I'll receive. So Joe got into the business, stopped the app sickness, daily practice his rhythm, he even upped his fitness. He found sparring cathartic, postmortems charming. With the plus equal minus, he was armed for elo farming. With notepad and pen, he built up calluses, escape rating paralysis. With lengthy game analysis, with sensei direction, he sold his collection. Read one classic and that was fantastic. Now he locked to the spot where they checking off boxes. Young prodigies and some wily old foxes. 3.5 points per box, that's shocking progress. Goal nearing, cohort cheering, Joe doesn't hear it. He's monotasking, no relaxing, concentration maxing. One book, one board, one set, one thought. Work will work, will work, work, never stop. One book, one board, one set, one thought. Work will work, will work, work, never stop. Now occasionally, he peeps the world of the tweak and laughs when he sees the player that he used to be. Blank face staring, complex plans comparing while he's dojo training. Hours a day playing out positions, transpositions, and growing his board vision. Transition from poser to player, focus without a care. He leaves them complaining in his dust, staying with their week-old ratings. Blast past his week-old rating, each week's a new occasion. He never takes vacation, the work is entertaining, the growth he's maintaining. And now Joe is explaining, hey, don't you know? Welcome to the dojo, it's good to grow. Welcome to the dojo, I gave up on the easy. Sweatwork's what we need, G. If sweatwork's what I believe, rating's what I'll receive. Don't you know? Welcome to the dojo, it's good to grow. Welcome to the dojo, I gave up on the easy. Sweatwork's what we need, G. If sweatwork's what I believe, rating's what I'll receive. Welcome to the dojo.
Welcome to the dojo.
Check out Joe, he's a Reddit bro, likes to edit posts, and he starts to gloat when he gets the most of votes or likes. Yeah, he's really hyped, really psyched, cause the club is really tight and the work is really light. His training plan is the first thing your eyes see, cause he got more follows than my boy Eric Icy. Opinions on Magnus, hands, and Karyakin. Who cheated who, which engine
That
did he
ain't
hack in?
Magnus.
He got blocked by Short, ignored by Dvorak, but he can't be wrong. He scored a like from Truan. He's got lightning attacks on GM blunders and gaffes. True, not over the board. It's only the other chat. Still, his 7-year plan ensures the last laugh. Distractions detract from any actual actions. Excuses are useless. He rues his inaction. Awaits satisfaction. The status of Magnus. He bought 50 books and opened up 10. Fools ought to read Psalms, not my system. He's got 30 all accounts on every site around. Chessable courses keep looking cheaper by the pound. He got 22 databases and 36 engines, 25 chess sets, and a massive clock collection. He bought merch from Gotham, Bra and Naka, but his game history looked like some chess copy pasta. A GM coach that he don't listen to, and if you think it is, then yes, my friend, yes, this is you. But that all changed one bright sunny day when a friend said, hey, don't you know? Welcome to the dojo, it's good to grow. Welcome to the dojo, I gave up on the easy. Sweatwork's what we need, G.
All right, my friends, we are back. Guess who's back? Back again. Tackman Jones. Let's open this up. So that was me. This is Tackman Jones. Just trying to achieve 2,000 ELO. That is a very ambitious task. joined at the end of last year. We hasn't done a bunch over here. Got a reasonable tactics rating. Very good tactics rating. But that was just one checkmate test. So, Tackman Jones, maybe you got your own program that you're following, but if you want to get 2,000 ELO, it's going to take some work. And I would say, set a different goal first. 2,000 in the back of your mind is cool, but right now, just getting to the next cohort or something, not the easiest thing. All right, here we go. Okay, so first we have a time graph. This is a 10-minute game. Oh no. Oh no. So we can't do it, Tackman Jones. We can't do a 10-minute game. Also, if you want to make 2,000, you're going to need to play some longer games as well. Okay, so once we get up here to the 1500s, we really need to start playing longer games. The opening courses are pretty detailed. I would say that is not a primary reason for you to join the premium plan. There are much more better reasons, but yes, opening courses are there, and opening courses is also something we just did a lot of stuff with 4.0, a lot of updates, but moving forward, we're going to get a lot more opening courses involved. We're going to improve our opening courses UI as well. Okay, this is Mark. I believe I've seen Mark before. Look at that. Of course I have. He's graduated all the time. And he's also got a FIDE rating, but he's using his ChessCom rating. Clubs. French Dojo. You're right. I remember this. Mets. And then we got games. And these are ancient games, Mark. These are ancient games. So it looks like he's doing a lot of tactics and opening, playing some, but these games are ancient. They're from last year. So, Mark, we need more from you, my friend. Though what I want to say is I really like your dedication in the last, since September. You've really brought it, and it seems like your rating's also going up because of it. Can you compare them to Chessable? Better than Chessable. Yeah. Ali's also asking me questions on the YouTube. All right, so Mark, hopefully we'll see you again soon. Next up, we have Morbid. Morbid doesn't say anything, doesn't have any points. It might also be a ghost. Ghost 1617, doesn't have anything. Joined recently, though. Clubs, no clubs. Games, no games. So I think Morbid just joined, and we need Morbid. We need Morbid to come in here. All right. So next up, we have Puzzling World. And Puzzling World, I'm going to give him a follow. We are now getting stronger here. Oh, and this is Archangelisk. Why do I know this name, Archangelisk? There was a game I was looking at recently. Was it? Or maybe it was last week and they graduated. I remember this name. I don't remember exactly why. Okay, so they are graduating all the time. It probably was last week. But Archangelisk doesn't say anything. We got some clubs. Okay, these are also 10-0s. You guys. You guys. All right, let me just stress kind of a fundamental philosophy of the dojo. So it is okay if you want to become a good blitz player. That's fine. But one of the things we really believe is that in order to get good at blitz, you've got to play some longer games to really have the experience of thinking deeply about a position and getting good at it. Otherwise, you're just going to be stuck playing superficial thoughts. And what that means is if you play those longer games, let's say you want to become a blitz player. By playing the longer games, you're going to be like becoming aware of plans and ideas that then, if you can get fast at it, you can play it in these 10-0 blitz games. Nice, Dami UK. Glad to have you be here. So, Ali's also going to give it a shot. I hope he did. He seems like he's going to be mad at me, though. He's like, oh, Jesse, if it's no good. Wait, but Ali, you should know. You should know, actually. Hold on. Maybe he's already done it. But until June 15th, we have 40% off for the first month. So you need to use code DOJO when you sign up. I should be mentioning that early and often. And he said a cryptic statement like, oh, it'd be worth it if it was half the price. Well, at least for this first month, it is going to be half the price. All right, next up, we have Dragon Warrior. What does Dragon Warrior got to say? Dragon Warrior was doing some of his own tactics a little while ago, and then it's kind of dropped off a little bit. Very close to officially graduating, but he decided it was close enough to 1700. And let's see what we got here. Clubs, steps, Asian, fine. I always tell people from Asia that we want more descriptors in there. Asia's a big place. Different clubs. All right, here we go. Oh, these are ancient games too, and they're fast. We're seeing a little bit of a pattern in the last couple of graduates. Oh, Dami UK, I hope you don't feel cut out. Sometimes I think it's definitely a good value no matter how you do it. But I know for myself, if I miss a discount, I'm like, oh, I got. All right, here's Gojira. Gojira's second graduation since joining in January. Very happy with the structure. Did not have a great weekend at the Chicago Open. Chess is still hard. And I just want to say, once you start getting up to where you are, Gojira, chess is very hard. I need patience and to work the process. Haven't been missing tactics lately, big improvement, but need reps and evaluation help to avoid getting beaten by a better plan. Looking forward to reading Perelstein's Evaluate Like a GM in this cohort, as well as finishing Reassess Your Chess. I think that Sensei reviewed a game of mine last month with the wrong color. My fault, wasn't setting white-black correctly on my games. Didn't think anyone would be looking at them. Fix for recent games. Great. Tommy's going to cry himself to sleep tonight for missing the offer. Okay, so let's go look at Gojira here. Get to be a respectable A player by the end of 2025. Okay, so yeah, currently he's 1764, and he wants to be 1900. Right. He's got the sweat work here. There we go. This guy's preaching it here. And as you can see, Gojira has really been cranking it. It looks like a New Year's resolution, right? Looks like a New Year's resolution that he's really held. Yeah, so he's got the weekly goal of 7 hours, and he's basically held it all of this time. Okay, so this is looking great. And I want to say 1900 by the end of the year is very ambitious. And, he's done great recently. Even that Chicago Open didn't seem to hurt him too much. Okay, so clubs, or maybe the Chicago Open is yet to be rated. 50 plus, I want to say I'm in that group. It is hard. It is hard to get better with 50 plus. I'm working myself. I have my own struggles. Let's see if Gojira's got a game for us. All right, some strange time controls in here, but let's do this one, 100 plus 0. First, do we got a time graph? We do. And I believe John is our guy. And as we can see, John is moving a little bit fast. But this is a beautiful, very interesting rating graph for me because these players are still playing better than their rating when it comes to the clock. They're not perfect by any means, but they're playing better than the rating. We'll critique John's use of time after we get into it. For example, if he's completely winning at this point, then it's not a problem for me that his time graph looks like that. But if he was making impulsive moves, then we're going to yell at him, right? So here we go. Good move so far. Fine. Now, usually we say that c5 is best here. Bishop e3, c5, and I believe it's precisely for this reason. Now, knight c6, and then now you played rook c1. And you're right, I played this the last time we played, looked at it. New castles was the right repertoire line. Played this anyway. Paid the price unraveling the move order mistake. Okay, this is going to be interesting. So I just know from experience that castles is the move. And part of the drama for black too is if they play queen a5, the reason bishop e2 is such a... Oh, great. Sorry. I'm gonna just say I'm very sorry. We got to do a couple things, actually. We got to do a couple things. First, I was talking about this time graph. And that was okay for me to be talking about the time graph, but I don't think I had it on the right one. I was just talking. You know, sometimes I see interesting things and I start talking and I'm just not aware. As a streamer, my rating is about 800. Okay, now we're going to go game review. You played bishop e2. This was fully correct. And I just want to stress the reason, as I was explaining, is that on queen a5, then we can castle because queen takes rook and then rook snip and we have a nice position. Okay, so knight c6, rook c1, probably still doing fine. Queen a5, and now you castle. I think this is okay. I mean, it would be very frisky for black to take the a pawn. And now dude plays rook d8. And you do an ugly move here by playing rook c2. You say ugly, but if I can swap rook c1, queen d2 for rook c2, queen d1, should be able to hold everything together. Okay. Now, one thing I would want you to do is just spend a momentito reflecting on what it is you think maybe would have been better than rook c2. Because rook c2 is weird. Let's just be clear. That's a very weird move. There's a lot actually to think about here. So, for example, if we play d5, dude might be able to take here. At first it seems dumb because it'd be like, oh, I touched the bishop. And then he goes like this, whack! Oh, man. And then we can't snip because of that snap. Maybe we then play here, though, and on queen d3, we just take it. And we say, this is a beautiful position. Look at that. Everybody's doing fine. Okay, complicated, right? So d5 would be an option. I think what I want to stress about rook c2 is I don't think he's ready to take that thing anyway. All right, here it comes. Now d5. Okay, so bishop f3, bishop f3. It's hot. Okay, now he plays queen c7, definitely knight e5. Right. Okay, with a very, let's call that a very typical Grunfeldy position. Yeah. Okay. Also, it looks weird, but they like to do this kind of stuff too. Queen a4, you can't take it yet, and then knight a5 after. I don't know. He's hanging the c pawn. I don't know. I just know these positions are very hot. Snip. And you should say thank you when they give it to you like that. Now, why not bishop d4? Right? Why not bishop d4? Here, I think you're moving a little too fast on bishop e3. You're still doing great. Bishop e2, good move. Okay. Now you go to d4. Maybe showing that we should have gone there in the first place. If I was black, I would want to try to find something better than bishop takes d4. That looks wrong. He spent 11 minutes on it. And black, as we saw in the graph, got himself into deep time pressure here. b5. And there's a whole line with a4. Could you give? And now it's just going to be a question, are we winning this thing? It looks like we're winning the pawn. Winning position. Okay, time to regroup and get a plan to convert this clearly winning endgame. Yeah, okay. Now, if I was black, I think there's one last chance. I don't know how good of a chance it is. I don't really believe in it. But it would be, could I play e6? With the point that snip and snop, and then I'm threatening this, and then hopefully I'm living through this. Am I really living through it? I don't know. I don't know, but that could be the last hope for black in my mind. Rook b3. Rook a8. Good, f3. I wanted to see that a little faster. Easy chess now. He's not doing anything. Good, I like the way you're building it. I love the way you're building it. Look at this thing. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. Very nice. Okay, so remember what we said about him moving a little too fast? That was beginning around move 20 where he starts moving too fast. And if we just recap, there was a phase where I feel it was mostly easy for him, but this one wasn't easy. You know, he spent 2 minutes on queen b1, and that whole phase here, that's where he needed to spend more time because a better opponent's going to put up more resistance than this guy did here. Okay. Dami asks, is uploading and annotating games something I will learn through the training program? Yes, absolutely. We have a lot of videos. We have this amazing book called How to Analyze Your Games. We have other people. I think one of the easiest ways to do it is to, if you've never done it before, for example, I would say going into your cohort and looking at how other people have done it. That's a beautiful thing. Also, if you get somebody in your cohort to review some games with you, that's also a beautiful thing. Because at first, when you just start analyzing your games, it can feel like, what am I looking at? What am I doing here, man? This is so weird and hard. I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know what to ask. But if you do it with somebody else, you'll find just by, they'll have questions about the position, and then you'll start talking. And, you know, you'll start finding the questions that are needed to look at. Yeah. Okay, iCastle Queenside, thank you for the help. All right, boom, we're going to mark this as reviewed. And now we have headward. And you know what? Let's go over here. I think the big old Norway thing is started. So I'm just going to go look in on it real quick. And I think, as I said earlier, I think David will join me. You never know with David, though. You never know. But in any case, it was very fun yesterday. And let's see here. Events. We're going to go watch this one. And, right, we have Magnus against Arjun. Looks like an equalish position. Oh, Gukesh against Fabi. Beautiful fight. That looks no. Well, Gukesh has sacked the pawn with the two bishops. We're about to find out. He's going to have some compensation. Do I see it? No, I don't. And Naka against Wei Yi. Naka lost yesterday. I'm sure he's pissed. He can be so antagonizing towards his own self after he loses. That position looks roughly equal. Anyways, we're going to take a look at some of that after the grad show. First up, though, we have Headward. Headward P. Headward, say something about yourself, bud. He's at 1850 normalized, 2108. And let me just say something obvious, Headward. At 2108 ChessCom, unless you're getting all your games in from the dojo, you're facing a gazillion cheaters. So I don't know where you are with the OTB, but that would be a good moment to switch. Because at 2100, it's almost 50% of the people you're playing are cheating. Okay, clubs. European, great. Games, nothing. Hedward P, thank you for joining. You joined last year, but you haven't done yet much. It's obvious. We want you to get on this heat map and to play some games. Question. Are previous grad shows available somewhere? I didn't catch my own graduations. Right. They're on YouTube, and also Twitch holds on to the graduations for like the last 2 months. And we are trying to be very diligent to capture all of them. Because like if we don't, then they die. And I know we've lost at least some of the grad shows, but we are trying to then catch them all on our channel, which is the ChessDojo Live channel. Okay, great. Let's continue. Next up, we have Marino. Marino's done a little work. Let's see what's going on with Marino. Marino, tell us something about yourself. Done some tactics, played a couple games. Okay, clubs. We got the Dutch dojo. So cool. So cool we have all these dojos. All right, let's see what we got, if we got any games. No games. Now, Marino joined also kind of a ghost player. Joined in 23, maybe, just recently got back into it. I think a lot of players are coming back because they're like, oh, the dojo was kind of hard for me to follow at the beginning. The website design maybe not so cool, but now it's amazing, right? Maybe we're getting some of those older people back. Marino, anyways, you know what you need to do. You know what you need to do. Next up, we have Misha. For everyone climbing the ladder, remember, it's okay to rise, fall, or be on a plateau as I am. The joy you get out of chess has nothing to do with ratings. Jesse, I love the program for many reasons, but primarily for the training plan, which I generally follow, but don't log enough. Keep up the good work. Great. And you can see Misha's logging it there. He's doing 112. And these graduations are hard. These are very hard graduations. So definitely congratulations are in order. He's got 1808, 1833 USCF. That all looks great. So has been doing, looks like, well, you can see he's a sporadic worker. He does a little bit and then he goes away and he comes back. Clubs. SoCal. How can you be both SoCal and Boston? How does that happen? All right. Do we got a game from Misha? Oh, we do. We got a recent 90-10. Let's give it a look. First, we got times. Oh, we don't got times. Probably a OTB. Remember, you can bring in the times for the OTB. The other cool thing about bringing in the times now is now you will get, both players will get a time management rating. So mark that as reviewed. So here we go. Fine. Good. Fine. And now you played F3. Now, it's hard for me to believe that F3 could be wrong, but Bishop H6 I know is pretty standard. Okay, but you haven't done anything wrong yet. B5, H4. Explorer says G4, and you say it makes more sense. I still like your move, H5. Here's the move, first move I don't like, Bishop D3. And you write development for the sake of development. There isn't much purpose to this move. Mostly I was thinking that after B4, my light square bishop would be blocked in on F1. Okay, so first of all, the little problem for black with H5 is that now that G5 square is available. So, it doesn't have to be now, but we can really think about doing this kind of thing. I think your default move has to be castles long. Is it scary? It's a little scary, but it's a very dynamic position where you're doing great. The problem with Bishop D3, okay, is it blocks the queen. And it's not needed. A lot of times, too, if you think about it this way, the rook, if it gets involved somehow, which we can actually imagine it getting involved, because at some point after he castles, we're going to be thinking about G4, absolutely, is that the bishop, if the rook's good where it stands, and my knight can do something like knight H3, G5, then the bishop is fine where it is. It's a little anti-intuitive, especially for somebody like me, or if you listen to me, because I preach development so much. But it's really important to see that the bishop is developed where it stands. The main reason you have to move the bishop is to connect the rooks. This position, it's not so important, especially if you're rook on h1. Well, when you played h4, you have dreams, right? You've got dreams. Chess Amazon, thank you for rating. Maybe that's David in the chat, and he's just lurking until we're done with this. So, all right, knight h3. I think he should take, because if you land on g5, I do think it's scary. Oh, no, what's this, bud? gh3. No. Oh, no. Yeah, rook h3. Now, this was one of the things that I think was a challenge for your position, because I do want you to play knight h3. But I think black, see something about black. Black's going to need to do either this or this in the near future anyway, right? So, we could castle first. We can wait on that knight h3. I feel like gh is horrendous. One of the main problems, maybe you can make it even work, okay? All right, let's just give it a chance, Cry. Just give it a chance, okay? e6, I don't like that move. I don't even understand. f4, fancy. You're going to have to castle anyway, though, aren't you? d5, here he comes. This is his idea. Queen g2, interesting. I think e5, you have a pretty nice initiative. I appreciate queen g2, okay. b4, that might be a good move. And now you sacrifice. You're right, I thought this was okay, but Henry thought it was awful. Yeah. Now you looked at knight e2. Knight a4 also looks kind of plausible. One of the things I want you to see is that black is trying to be very fancy here, but is not respecting their development. So one thing we want to ask is, well, what is going on with e5? Let's say you play knight d7. And here you've got a variety of moves. To me, the most interesting is the very blunt queen g2. Here you have two threats, f5, and at some point, bishop g6. Right? That's an interesting position. I don't like what black did with e6, d5. Right? No me likey. Queen g2, b4, probably a good move. E takes, you're sacking your business. I don't know. I don't know. Boom, boom, boom. I assume you're lost here. I don't know. I don't have the answers here. Yeah, finally took that bishop. I was like, how long is it going to take before he takes the bishop? All right, and here we're toast, right? We're going to play on a couple moves just to see if they gave you some kind of chance here. Unresigned. Okay. Want to stress has nothing to do with the opening. And bishop d3 was a mistake. This is a mistake. I thought gh3, I came around to it maybe a little bit. But your opponent, look, he gave you this. And after e5, I definitely want to be white. Definitely want to be white. Come on now. What do we mean? Of course I want to be white here, man. Come on. Come on now. Okay. Well done. Good annotations. Next up, we got 4 more. A lot of these higher rated players are too precious to actually do game reviews. So we might be, sometimes we're done faster than we think over here. So Philip, I am following, which suggests he's graduated before, right? He's got an amazing tactics rating, but that comes from one checkmate test. Okay. Clubs, nothing. Games. All right, we got a game, but it's but the time controls are too fast. 2 plus 30 and 30 plus 15. Right, we do need the right time controls. Philip, we want to see you doing this work over here. Joined last year. You graduated. These are your graduations. Yeah. Now, longer games, Philip, and then we're going to do some annotations, okay? But I want to see it, Philip. I want to see it. Vaccine is coming up, and he has a game for me. He wants me to go easy. All right. He says, I think you have the best game analysis platform on the internet. Thank you. Really enjoyed using it so far. My CFC rating has finally caught up with my ability, I think. So I might need to follow the dojo prescription for real to make the next rung up to expert. Looking forward to the challenge. Great. I have coached a lot of players through the years, through the decades, getting to expert. So expert, we usually call like 2000 USCF. CFC, I believe, is kind of similar. You can see there's our it's very similar to the USCF. Learned as an adult from John Bartholomew in St. Louis Chess Club lectures and have been playing for about 10 years. The game really got its hook into me after I started playing OTB in 2022. Currently based in Collingwood, Ontario. New father, so sadly there won't be many tournaments in my future. I hear you there. Yeah, I got a similar issue. I feel like I'm able to study some, but it's very hard for me to get away. Very hard. I'm looking up Collingwood now just so I have a sense of where that is. Like everything, it's right next to Toronto. Like everything, it's right next to Toronto. I've been to Kitchener in Toronto. We played a tournament in Kitchener 8 years ago. Okay, so he's up there on the other, he's on Lake Huron up there. I'm sure it's beautiful. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I feel like I need to stroll around Collingwood just for a second. I'm dropping the Google man into Collingwood. It looks like a beautiful place. I'm sure it's colder than for Mickety. But yeah, it looks like a Midwest town. Okay, beautiful stuff. Let's go looking. Got a beautiful tactics rating. That looks beautiful. Okay. And we got clubs. The CFC Dojors, the Toronto Dojors. That's what I want to see. Chess moms and dads. Yeah, you got to have a kid to be in that club, and it looks like he just joined. Right? Looks like he just joined. This is looking a little sporadic, but he's getting it done. Let's look at the game here. I might talk a little bit about the quest for expert. So, first we have a time graph. We do. Let's go hit the time graph. And the first thing that I want you guys to see, especially people in the lower cohorts, okay, is that one of the reasons I really wanted to create this time rating was for people to have a quantified sense of what good time management means, and that when you start moving up in the cohorts, you really start seeing games that look more and more like this, where people are very close to that green line. Okay, so well done. And you'll see I've done some videos that got coming out. Actually, right after this, I need to check in on whether they've come out already. Maybe I could just give it a quick look, actually. Maybe our boys put it up. Nope, they haven't put it up yet. Come on! Anyways, so I just want to say, before we get into this, it's a really amazing thing how predictable it is. So in the earlier cohorts, you will see graphs where they really don't use the time. And here, the higher we get, the more time we're going to use. And this just lets our guy know that he doesn't really have a time problem if most of his games look like this. Okay, here we go. Fine. Fine. Frisky. Following round 2 exactly. Now, is his name really Villain? Cry, you need to fix it. Whew, that was close. I almost went all the way in. Almost went all the way in without fixing it. Okay. So, let's say the obvious. This is a situation where black is up a million tempi, but white has some center control and the 2 bishops. So black needs to do something with that time. This is fine, dc4. Snip snap. Knight f3. Fine. Bishop e2. Little passive, okay? b6. Why? Because you're not fighting for the d3 square. Black can do a lot of different things. Rook d8. We both thought the rook might be better placed on e8 to support the e5 push in this postmortem, but it can't be that bad. Here I'm more or less out of book. I know we're often playing c4 and going for hanging pawns in this type of position, but here it looked dreadful. I'm already a bit uncomfortable. So I think a problem of bishop e2 was that the queen now doesn't have her natural square. And rook d8, I don't like it, but I understand why it's going to be a little hard here. To my mind, black should be making a choice between one of those two moves. All right, so bishop b2, and you say a pretty major strategic decision. I think your default move could be a4. And the idea is just to give yourself a little space and to make black wonder if you are going to play a5, right? Okay, bishop b2, knight c6, can't be bad. And now, queen b3, I don't like that move. First big thing of the game. I wanted the queen developed and off the d file, but didn't like c2 because I can't calculate 2 moves ahead, and didn't like a4 because I can't evaluate bishop e7, maybe bishop b7. And here you write c4 exclam. Let's read what you write. I was pretty sure this was the move, but not sure enough to commit. Hadn't really reviewed my Nimzo lines leading into the tournament. Now, one thing I want to stress about lines is a lot of times people get to a position like this and they'll be like, oh, yeah, I needed to review this before the tournament. But look, no. Especially if you play the E3 Nimzo, you can learn some lines, but there's so many things that black can do. And like rook d8, I didn't think was a great move, for example. It's not going to be losing or anything, but you're just on your own. And the thing about c4 that's fascinating to me anyways, is you are saying, I don't know what's going to go down with those pawns, but I need to open up the bishops. And especially once I play bishop b2, I'm really all in on playing c4, right? I'm all in. Yeah. So I think a great game, a game that I actually need to do a video on, it's on our games to memorize list, is Kasparov Portish, I want to say 82 or 83. I'm terrible with remembering the year. And there also, he played for c4 instead of e4. And one of the greatest games, I think, of all time. All right, here we go. Queen b3. The main reason, the major red flag of this move to me is that black wants to play the knight here anyway, because he wants control over this square. That's your weak square. Let's see what black does. They play e5 instead, which probably is also playable. I like this much less, though, because at the bare minimum, I don't like this, because the bare minimum, you can take everything on e5 and play c4, and you're doing fine. Boom, 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 boom. c4. Excellent. Excellent. So, and you had it there, knight a5, boom. And you write, this seems superficial to me in the game, thinking that the knight on the rim is misplaced, but actually it often belongs on a5 to control the crucial c4 square. So, nota bene. That kind of analysis where you're understanding the structure and the weak square, so much more important than memorizing a bunch of stuff, especially when you play something like the E3 Nimzo, where black has a wide choice of plans, right? Black has a lot of plans that he can throw at you. Okay, really good annotation. That's my favorite annotation of the day. Now I like your position. Queen e6, I don't know. And now you have bishop f3 in your notes. Rook fd1, I can't be bad. Bishop b7, and now queen c3. I don't mind queen c3. Okay, let's just talk a little bit about ideas. Are we going to play f3 anyway? To my mind, we do want to play f3. to blunt the bishop, and conceivably, if we don't have to do it right away, but we can advance e4 someday. We want to put the pawns in the opposite color of our good bishop. And if we're going to play f3, this knight needs to move anyway. It needs to move anyway. So I still like queen c3, but I want to stress this is also going to be a move later in the future. And then this might not be dumb to have this look over on the b6 pawn. All right, so here we go. Queen c3, knight e8. h3, I don't like it either. And you talk about f3, good move. That's also the kind of move that once you see it and you're like, oh, yeah, that's a nice positional move. The intuition against it, of course, is, oh, I'm weakening my king. But no, f3 is blunting the bishop. And it's important to see that we want to play on the king side eventually, right? It might take us a little bit, but we're going to build an engine of power over there on the king side. Good notes. Queen g6, and now we got to do that. f3 felt loose, but yes, you should have done it. Knight c7, you say this is equal. Nah, I don't think it's equal yet, buddy. You've got the bishops. Now, is it not as good as we wanted? Maybe it's not as good. Okay. So what did you play? You need a good move. Rook d2. Okay. Oh, that isn't it. Why bring your knight to... Yeah, I thought his whole point was to put his knight on e6. Bishop d3. Very nice move. Oh, that's a nice one. And now you play queen c2. I think that's okay. Knight g5. And now we have a critical position. You played h4. And you thought knight e4 was impossible. Okay. So. Great. Okay. Now, if you miss knight e4, then h4 is a fine move. I mean, obviously, you spend 10 minutes on it. And this, it is true, a lot of GMs might miss that too, right? Nice move. Very nice move. Okay, so now, as we said, now you're just winning, right? Thank you very much. Bishop f5, bishop g6 also looks great. Bishop c1's weird. Come on, Will. Everybody knows this move is bad, yourself included. It's a little bit weird even trying to imagine what you're trying to do, right? Notice that you were clearly afraid the entire time of playing f3. Okay, take it. Oh. Yeah, queen e4, bud. Wait, what are you saying about queen e4? You're definitely doing great here. You're worried because you're going to lose the pawn, but it's important to stress, even if you do lose the pawn, I still like your position. You got the two bishops. You're rolling. All right, now things are scaring me. Now things are very, very frightening. Mamma mia. Uh-huh. Who knows what's happening? Very fancy moves being played. Very fancy moves. Holy smokies. Look at that, buddy. Woo! All right, that was beautiful. I have to take a quick pause and I'll be right back.
Welcome to the dojo.
Check out Joe, he's a Reddit bro, likes to edit posts, and he starts to gloat when he gets the most of votes or likes. Yeah, he's really hyped, really psyched, cause the crowd is really tight and the work is really light. His training plan is the first thing your eyes see, cause he got more follows than my boy Eric Dicey. Opinions on Magnus, Hans, and Karyakin, who cheated who, which engine did he packing. He got blocked by Short, ignored by Dvorak, but he can't be wrong, he scored a like from Truong. He's got lightning attacks on GM blunders and gaffes, true not over the board, it's only the other chap. Still his 7-year plan ensures the last laugh. Distractions detract from any actual actions. Excuses are useless, he rules his inaction. Awaits satisfaction, the status of Magnus. He bought 50 books and opened up 10. Fools ought to read Psalms, not my system. He's got 30 alt accounts on every site around. Chessable courses keep looking cheaper by the pound. He got 20 22 databases and 36 engines, 25 chess sets, and a massive clock collection. He bought merch from Gotham, Bra and Naka, but his game history looked like some chess copy pasta. A GM coach that he don't listen to, and if you think it is, then yes, my friend, yes, this is you. But that all changed one bright sunny day when a friend said, hey, don't you know? Welcome to the dojo. It's good to grow. Welcome to the dojo. I gave up on the easy. Sweatwork's what we need, G. Sweatwork's what I believe. Ratings what I'll receive. Don't you know? Welcome to the dojo. It's good to grow. Welcome to the dojo. I stepped away from easy. Sweatwork's what we need, G. Sweatwork's what I believe. Ratings what I'll receive. So Joe got into the business, stopped the abstinence, daily practices, rhythm, he even upped his fitness. He found sparring cathartic, postmortems charming. With the plus equal minus, he was armed for ELO farming. With notepad and pen, he built up calluses, escape rating paralysis with lengthy game analysis. With sensei direction, he sold his collection. Read one classic and that was fantastic. He locked to the spot where they checking off boxes. Young prodigies and some wily old foxes. 3.5 points per box, that's shocking progress. Goal nearing, cohort cheering, Joe doesn't hear it. He's monotasking, no relaxing, concentration maxing. One book, one board, one set, one thought. Work will work, will work, work, never stop. One book, one board, one set, one thought. Work will work, will work, work, never stop. Now occasionally, he peeps the world of the tweet and laughs when he sees the player that he used to be. Blank face staring, complex plans comparing while he's dojo training. Hours a day playing out positions, transpositions, and growing his board vision. Transition from poser to player, focus without a care. He leaves them.
All right, my friends, I had to take a break because Maxine is up next, and he wants me to brutalize him. Here he comes, Maxine. For this cohort, I had three key themes where I focused on tactics. Calculating tactical lines also helped me improve my overall calculation of non-tactical continuations. Seeing tactics easier with less effort also helped me to focus on positional chess during the game, although I really got to studying strategy in this cohort. Progress was too fast. Openings. I focused on making sure that I won't lose straight from opening. Fix the holes. I'm also more aware of inaccuracies I tend to face and more accurate in punishing them. Endgames. I drastically improved my endgame skills by going through my endgames even in faster time control, since there's a lot to learn there as well. I mainly focused on rook endgames, but I'm definitely more comfortable in any possible ending. I did well in endings before, but still managed to improve a lot. I was surprised how much outplay potential there is even in boring endgames. Absolutely. Oh, man. Now, when you guys think about making 2,000, you and WBD, I want to stress, it's going to be about small things and the end games where you crush fools because they don't understand what they're doing. Oh, man. They play these people, maybe they memorize a gazillion openings but can't play a rook end game. That's where the money is, hon. That's where the money is. All right. When does the discount work? It works until June 15th. At least that's my memory of it. All right, so let's go look at Max Xing. By the way, Max, if you want me to look at a particular game, I'm happy to do so. He's a software dev. Nice. Look at all this green. Look at all this green. Also looks like a New Year's resolution. He is crushing it over here. Yeah, beautiful stuff. Okay, so clubs, looking good. And now we got games, loads of games. And we got this 60-30. This is all looking pretty normal. Now he is vastly outrating this person, so maybe this is the one we should look at over here. Wait, no, Surin just has a great suggestion. You know, I might put this to the dev team after the show here, is that he wants more animals, cheetah and sloth. So we gotta write that down. Cheetah and sloth. That's great, dude. That is a fantastic. I was just thinking more basic, but a cheetah and a sloth. There we go, man. Thing is, a cheetah is a proud animal, you know, and people might think it's cool to be a cheetah, but that's really where you don't want to be. You know, you really don't want to be a cheetah. All right, so let's get into it. And do we have times here? We do. Let's check it out. We're talking about the time graph. And definitely Max, just from the perspective of time, did much better than his opponent. And what we see in this, we see this often, is at a certain point people lose energy and they just start making quick and impulsive moves. Now, was Max also guilty of this? We're going to find out. A lot of times we also see that when we get to end games, people are unable to think. They just stop. And we also see this kind of time graph when you hit the end game. When you see Magnus hit the end game, or you see any of these other GMs, they are pushing it to the limit with the time, my friend. They're pushing it to the limit. Okay, so very good time rating here. We'll see if we can critique this part later on. We just have to see what's happening there. Okay, so game review. Friday night fights, good. So this guy's an FM that we're playing. Okay, here we go. So far, so good. Fine. Fine, this is all kind of known stuff. Bishop c3 is a little weird to me. Dude now plays b6. Even though there are some master games with b6, I don't remember facing this move. c6 is definitely more standard. And dc4, I mean, that's got to be fine for black, I would think. Okay, so anyways, b6, snip, snop, knight e5. Okay, bishop b7, knight d2. c5, okay, critical moment. And you spend a large portion of time and play rook e1. An edit stock is here, and that's Malipa. But where? Oh, it's Malipa 11 here. Okay. So I think this is a very challenging position for white in terms of coming up with a plan and knowing what to do. The problem with taking is you enable a lot more. Like d4, you enable the queen. So in general, we don't want to take. It's also, you know, if it's black's move here, it's not necessarily, he's got a lot of building moves, but it's also not entirely clear to black what they should be doing. This bishop is a little funny. Okay, so rook e1. I don't really get it. Queen c7. And now you take. All right, so here we go. Boom. Boom. And now you really blow it open with e4. Okay. I can actually imagine this if I was the higher rated player being kind of uncomfortable and annoyed with this because it looks like you are doing what in German we sometimes call the Tauschmaschine, the exchanging machine. Very hard for to see how black avoids just getting completely liquidated in the center. And he spends forever and does something that something weird. And why is he doing it? Because he doesn't want the liquidation, right? And you said you were sure he was going to play DE4, but, oh, and you were going to play here. I thought you were just going to play knight takes E4. Now, I think you were talking about knight F6 ideas, but I guess you mean bishop takes F6 ideas, right? So wait a second. E4, CD4. This would be the liquidation, I figured. Bishop D4, DE7, and now you came up with this interesting thing. Now, he could just play knight E4 if he wants full liquidation, right? So, right? And then it goes pop, 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 and then we're just liquidating. Lumber liquidators, right? Isn't that what we call lumber liquidators? I think so. Maybe you're a touch better. It's obviously hard for me to understand what's going on here. Black should be fine, right? Something like rook 88, I don't know. Okay, so he gets frisky. That's definitely our first candidate move. I think you're better now. And he goes 98. He's got a hard road here. Now, you were saying you were expecting 94. Yeah. And your analysis goes knight takes, pawn takes, pawn takes, queen takes, or bishop takes, then you just win the pawn, right? So then we see queen takes, rook takes, bishop takes, rook takes. Thank you very much. Yeah. So he's blown it. We know why he went to 98. He's like, well, now he is going to force you to crack him, though. That would be my take on the situation of what he's trying to do. He's trying to force you to do something violent, and you're going to need a higher skill level to do that violence. And you spend 11 minutes on F4, which is definitely the thematic move. And honestly, I think there you're spending a little bit too long, because I don't know what else you want to do. Well, there's other things you could do. It's true. You're better almost no matter what. But F4 is that's the kind of stuff we want. Queen G4, Queen F5, I don't like that. I think he's got to fix this knight. Now you play knight F1. This looks good. This looks great. Good move. Oh, buddy, very nice. And now you played Queen H5. And you talk about F5 seems very strong. Absolutely. If you can get F5, you should do it. Now, Queen H5 looks pretty good. And our problem is that move? That's what we're saying? Is it really? Okay. Now, you played EF6, and I don't like it. Shifting plan from kingside to use the E file and getting my knight to E5 seemed like a correct thing to do. Now, you might still be better, but let's just pause a momentito on this little question here. The move that looks very strong to me is the simple rook AD1. That looks scary. Now, do I know exactly what's happening? I don't, but it looks very frightening to me. Okay, EF, bishop takes. And maybe I should say this is also fine. Okay, knight B5. That's got to be good. Okay. Yeah, simple and strong chess. You're doing great here, Maxing. You're doing great. And you calculate rook E5. It looks good to me too. But rook AD1, you're right. It's more principled. And we're just holding it by putting him in pressure. What are you going to do, buddy? Okay. Now, this is a problem because now he's going to have to deal with bishop H3. You calmly come back. Now we need a good move. Now you play Queen E6. And what I want to stress now, this is where both sides are playing. Remember I was talking about both sides moving too fast? Now we're talking about it. All right, people moving too fast here. Okay. The question on Queen E6 is he going to be able to hold it together if he trades? Now, let's see if you got a variation down here. You got Queen E6, Rook takes. Now, Rook F8 shouldn't really worry us. And you talk about Rook F7. Good. Yeah, this is the kind of thing I wouldn't know. Rook e5, rook fd7. c4. c4 should secure a draw. I don't... Well, we don't want to draw, bud. You're the one in charge here. See, because look, he can't move. He can't, right? He's not doing anything to us, right? He can't move the d pawn. Moves that come to mind are h4, you know, f5, g4, g5, that kind of thing. Okay, so he goes and freaks out. By the way, this would be the moment to spend more time. Yeah, you have a lot of options here. Okay, boom, boom. That's poor. Now his king is destabilized. You took, destabilized, out of the game. And now c4 looks like you're winning now. And you have a good variation on dc. Okay. The issue with taking is that you are going to activate the rook on d7. So rook c5 looks much better. To me, it looks like a clear advantage. And part of the problem here for black is that it's going to be very difficult to activate the d3 pawn because your king is so close to it, right? That's the problem I'm seeing for the guy. His king is poor, so you're up a pawn and you have the better pieces. Should be winning. All right, bishop b7. And now I'm just concerned about rook b2. But you have h6. You have a trick. Okay, so okay. Rook d5. Had a quick look at rook d2, but rook d5 is more forcing. So I was critical about bishop b7, but if all this is what we're saying is true, well then obviously you're doing great. Good. You gave him a check. Oh, that's maybe a very fine move. Dang. Black resigns. Oh, he should definitely not resign. That's an interest. One of the things actually I want to say about, let's go to the time graph and just talk about it from there for a second. So a fascinating thing about what I can see from this time graph is that your opponent lost the will to fight. Like he got a position that he didn't like, and he lost the will to fight. One thing you'll see with stronger players is they do not have that. You're here playing somebody who is a FM or something, and he's just like, look at this, he ended the game with 53 minutes, and all this last series of moves, he was just unhappy with what was served up to him at dinner, right? And he played poorly. And why is he playing poorly? Because he lost the will to fight and he's not thinking. Yeah. It's a hard life. And you got him, Max. So this is the kind of ugly win we're going to want to see. Now, I want to stress, if he continued here to be a fighter and played rook c2, I want to stress this is not, no, this is not a simple win. I think it's actually pretty involved. Yeah, this one's pretty involved. Oh, excuse me. Why don't you show the game, Cry? Why don't you show the game? The general problem is, well, when you approach the rook, you risk losing these pawns. If you push this all the way down, rook a8 to a7, you have to get a passed f-pawn to win the game. That's a known theoretical thing. So I do think maybe he could win this, but it's not easy, right? And Maxine in the chat, great, dude. Great. Edit Stock says, has the stream been going on for 2 hours? I thought it started at 10 a.m. PST. I started a little earlier today because we have Norway chess going on. And after I'm done, we're going to take a look at that. So I wanted to have a little time to do the Norway chess. Okay, so that was great. That was really well done. Max we got two players here that could make that 2,000, and that's a beautiful thing. Now, Brutus Forte doesn't say anything about himself. We'll see what's going on with Brutus here. 45-year-old chess addict. Just joined. Peak rating was 2180. Okay, he's getting back to it. Beautiful thing. Now, he's using Chess.com, and let's just say something obvious, Brutus. Once you're playing over here, the cheaters, it's extraordinary. Playing our round robins, you're going to get some actual opponents. But if you're just playing randos online, it's not going to work. And in general, when what we say is over 2,000, we want you playing, it's an OTB situation, right? OTB. Okay, that might be a hard transition for you. I appreciate that. Nothing. Okay, my friends, it's party time. Let's turn it on. What do we need? I think I want to, okay, wait. I'm going to do something fancy here. I'm going to copy this browser, and I'm going to add a new scene, and we're going to call it, what are we going to call it? Commentary. We'll say okay. And we're going to go back. No. Back to this one. Grab that. And then commentary. And this. Actually, no. You just go like this, buddy. Bang. Beautiful. And then we're going to grab this bad boy. We're going to say boom. There, I'm back. And now, I just got to do one simple thing. That is bring in Norway Chess. We got to focus on a game. Oh, it's hard to choose which one to do. Oh, man, which one, dude? Which one? No. Let's do Magnus and Arjun. Okay. So, at the dojo here, we like to concentrate on a specific game. Boom. And we're going to just make it beautiful now. And I'm going to give a shout out to David. I don't know if he's going to join me, dude, but maybe. All right, let's just give a shout out to Mr. David. Wanna join? Question mark. All right, so if you are new to the dojo way of doing things over here, we are the only stream that doesn't do it. And Maxine, thank you for being here. We're the only stream that does this without computer analysis. Or pretty much, anyway. We were the ones who invented it. So I'm going to go back through the game, but let's just say a couple obvious things. Magnus is up a pawn, but black has every right to hope for active play on the king side of the board, and that it will take forever for white to get his pawns moving. White has just played knight b4 and is hoping for either knight d5 or queen d5, depending on what black does. The default move for black probably is h5. Let's see if David's in on me here. Oh, he can't today. Oh, what a chump. What a chump. All right. We got both sides are using their time fine here. h5, I think, is a little bit of a pain. Wait, Cry, you're out of your mind. Bishop g5, knight b4. This is what happens when you just show up at a game. You're like, oh, he's aiming for knight d5. No, he just moved back, buddy, and now he's threatening a pawn. So no h5 for us. It takes me a moment to drill myself into a position a little bit. All right, let's go through the game real quick. Magnus has been real whiny recently about inability to play just chess. But right here, you can tell by the time usage that they're both just playing chess. So no complaints there, Magnus, that I'm going to accept. C takes, rook takes. Fine. This is always been a kind of fascinating pawn structure for everybody involved. In general, I would rather be black with the pawns, central pawns. But, you know, it's a fight. Here. Here's where he's going to sack the pawn here with bishop b7. e5, right. 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 This is how we got what we got. And then here we are. Okay, yeah, so I have no idea what the computer says. I want to believe in black. That black is okay. Let me put it that way. I want to believe that black is okay. We have a question. Is bishop d2 the move here? Interesting. Bishop d2 is plausible. I didn't even consider that at first. Bishop d2 would lead, it looks like it's kind of hard to imagine how it doesn't lead to a forcing liquidation, right? Yeah, that looks reasonable. The other kind of weird thing with this move he played is if we just play rook f(e8), does white have anything special at all? I kind of think he doesn't. And then black could still play, you know, got ideas of h5. I was sitting on the guy. Maybe on rook f(e8"? Oh, I don't think so. I was going to say maybe you could play f4, but I think that's just poor. You can think about it, but I don't like it. So yeah, we got a lot of reasonable candidate moves. So we're going to say rook f(e8), bishop d2, all look fine. I think queen e4 might even be playable. I don't know. Yesterday, by the way, was a very weird game where Arjun, I thought, played a blunder. You know, me and David were looking at it, and it was just so weird. And you know what? I could imagine me checking the computer with that just to see if I'm losing my mind. Because he did such a weird move. So let's just go over here. Watch, events.
This is the tricky.
And then we'll go results. And so we want to look at Fabi beating Arjun. Arjun has lost very few games recently, so here's this one. And we want to go first to the moment, and I'm going to look at it again with human eyes. So this was our moment. We were on the stream yesterday. I couldn't find anything convincing. We both thought, by the way, that we'd rather be white here. But I couldn't find anything convincing on rook g8 or rook f4. In the game, dude plays dc4 after thinking 10 minutes, and it looks just lost. So I'm going to turn on the analysis button here just for a second to see if I'm right in this. Rook g8. Yeah, there we see it. Actually, you guys don't see it, but I can see it. Well, you see it there with a little eval bar. But rook g8 was the correct move. Our analysis was pretty good, man. Our analysis is pretty good. Now, it says a clear advantage to white. I didn't know. I definitely thought white was preferable, but I didn't have any number like that in my head. And after dc4, it's saying it's just toast. Okay. Boom. I don't look at the eval much, definitely not during the game. But if there's a question afterwards, I'll sometimes, you know, check it out. So Surin is asking about, will white stay up a pawn and black lose the bishop and has no compensation? Well, okay, I was thinking about it. So let's imagine here. Okay, now, queen e5. Let's just take it for a second. Now, rook e8 is probably very playable. And queen b4 is probably also just very playable. I mean, like, even imagine this position. How do you prevent the loss of this pawn? And yeah, you might stay up a pawn temporarily, but buddy, buddy, yeah, this one might actually this might be a scary move with the intention that queen d4, rook c8. So that's the kind of thing he is looking at. But all right, so let's look deeper at it. Bishop b4, ab. Now let's do the more natural move, queen b4. Now, maybe there's something fancy for white, but this would be let's call it the normal move. Here, this would be the normal move. And now I can play rook e2 or queen. No, I think I want to play rook e2. And there's just no way that you're going to hold on to that pawn. Now, you could continue the game, though. That's the other bummer if you're playing Magnus, because he continues the game. I would definitely say this is a draw, but he continues the game. So, all right, let's go back. This is our position. By the way, that position we showed with Fabi was definitely an example of Arjun miscalculating, misappreciating the position. And I haven't seen him do that much. With f5, b2 weakening instead of bishop d2. But the problem for white, as I took a moment to understand myself, is that the pawn on e5 is hanging here, as you saw, right? Okay. The YouTube chat who said Ergaisi is normally the best. Everyone makes mistakes. It's part of the deal. If they were all playing like computers, this would all be fairly uninteresting, right? I'm realizing maybe I understand what Magnus's intention here is on rook e8. So on rook e8, maybe we're going to play this move. And it looks weird because it looks like we're encouraging e4, but at least at the moment you can't do it. Okay, so maybe this is something kind of that's in the intention. Knight b4 is a challenging move to make because you have to worry about bishop d2, you got to worry about rook e8, maybe some other things too. Queen b5, I want to stress that's not going to be an easy move to crack. Because even though we're down a pawn, it's very hard for black to get the pieszkis moving. Magnus is pretty evil when it comes to these endgames here. Okay. It's funny, he complains all about all these openings, but he just got a normal position here, buddy. He said he got himself an interesting game. He loves to complain. Oh, man. We also haven't looked at queen e4. I'm not sure what's happening on queen e4. Now, I really kind of don't even want to consider it, but maybe you could consider f4. Right? Maybe you could consider it. Queen e3, though, no, you go queen e3 check. Well, yeah, then I play rook f2. Not so easy. And the point would be, like, if I can change, if I exchange this pawn and then put my knight there, I have a position I can call consolidated. A big choice from black here. Right, we're going to see a pretty big tank now. We've already seen a little bit of a tank already. Okay. ChessDojo has been live 2 hours, 17 minutes. Been live. Okay. So, rook e8, queen e4, bishop d2. At the moment, we haven't found a path to equality for black. My first intuition was that black should be fine. Another very simple move he could do is bishop f6. It's an ugly looking move, but it has a simple intention of playing for e4. Okay, a move has been made. What did he choose? Bishop d2. 20 minutes. And now we're going to get a kind of fast continuation. Now, my take here, not that kind of take, my take was that AB, queen b4, rook fd1 led to a position that black could hold, but that Magnus could play on forever. Now, maybe Magnus has a better move than rook fd1. I don't see it yet, okay? But maybe he's got a better move. I think one of the interesting things about this kind of position is like you're facing Magnus, right? You know that this guy has, in his prime anyway, just hurt people in endgames like this. These little tiny moves going here and there in positions that everyone thought was a draw. You know, so maybe against a lower rated player, you'd be like, I can hold this no problem. Well, against Magnus, it might not feel so good. It might feel like a sense of foreboding. Something's actually going to go wrong. Because he will find it. If there's a way to execute you, he will find it. All right, so Magnus is looking at rook fd1. I think the way I'm going to guess that the way Magnus sees this position is kind of sort of how I see it. He just has more skill to back it up. That rook here is white's best chance. And we get this. Then we get this. Then we get this. I think queen d4 just helps white. And here. And it should be a draw, but like I said, a white can push and push and push. I think like just doing that kind of garbage or going back to e7 and doing that kind of garbage would be standard fare. And then white has to go past it with rook d3. It's not over though, dude. It's just not over. Okay. So this is a position that like Arjun had to evaluate when this all started. Also, Magnus is asking himself, maybe there is a way to not play rook fd1. Most chump jams would play rook fd1. But you know, he could say to himself, nah, maybe I'll kick it and play like queen e4, queen d3. Maybe I'll just do that. Okay, it's a thought. Right. Oh yeah, Magnus is going to work him. By the way, this for a lot of players seems like a boring position. And this is the kind of position that if you're watching a dojo annotation, this is often where they're just like, oh, yeah, I give up. I'm not going to I'm not going to try to analyze it. I'm not going to think during the game because they think maybe it's easy. And you can see just in the way they're using their time, it's like, oh no, there's some real questions here about if white can create drama. All right, we got to move. Rook fd1. Makes sense. The queen e4 thing, I didn't really believe in with rook fe8, but it was the kind of thing I assumed he was thinking about. Now, black doesn't have to play rook fe8. Could also play rook fd8, but I don't believe in that. At the bare minimum, we'll have to start worrying about rook d3 and then piling up on the weak pawn. Yeah, so black wants to play rook fe8, I think. Yep, I called that. Thank you very much. I'm a GM today. We might see my variation on the board. We might see it, my friends. Okay. Magnus is just double checking this a little bit. Notice, dude. Actually, it's great to think about from a time management perspective. For every other chump, they would just take on d4. And he's probably going to do it, but he's just looking at the position a little bit. He's got some time on the clock. He doesn't need to rush it. Absolutely, the 17 minutes is a big deal. And the second time control is totally weird. They don't get a lot of time. I think it's something bizarre where they don't get any increment until move 40, and then at move 40 they get like a 10-second increment. I wonder if I could watch this like on YouTube or something. YouTube. We'll say Carlson versus Arjun live. There it is, buddy. This might be with this is with, like, unfortunately, no. This is everybody. No, I didn't want this. I wanted the video feed. I didn't want some chump. Some chump talking, you know? No, maybe I can't find it. If someone sees it, by the way, just the video feed. That's what I'm interested in. I'm not interested in, like, the blah blahs of the world. I'm one of the blah blahs of the world. You know, I'm not interested in that. Okay, so Carlson's thinking. Now at this point, I am a little freaked out. I'm like, dude, why are you taking the pawn? Maybe he's actually thinking about something weird like queen f4, rook e2, rook d4. Maybe. Okay, that's what he's considering. So you see, a chump like me, I didn't even see that as a thought. Queen f4 maintains the pressure here. Dude, it happened. It happened. Wow. Oh, that was cold, dude. Now the obvious question is, can Magnus play b4? To me, it definitely looks like he can play b4. Oh, buddy. Yeah. Queen f4. Excellent, dude. Magnus don't play. Here's the basic question. Why isn't Magnus just much better now after all this? That pawn, he's on fire now. And was queen b7 really the move? Is there some trick involved with queen b7 that I don't appreciate? What are you doing, queen b7? What are you doing? What are you doing? Buddy, no comprende. No comprende. At least play like queen b3 or something. What is queen b7? Okay, wait. Am I missing something? Is there something wrong with b4? Okay, wait, maybe I understand the idea. Okay, hold on. Arjun's not a chump. Here we go. b4, rook here. So we have this threat. And if I go back, he wants rook e4, winning the pawn. Okay. Okay, maybe that is drama. Okay, queen f6 was played. Oh, that's a cold move. So, no takey-takey because of rook d8 at the end. Dang. Who's mating who, son? Now, obvious question, though, we want to answer. What's wrong with this move? What is wrong with that move? Maybe the very basic rook d1 now. Holding the pawn, dude! Welcome to the dojo. Or even more basic, just rook d8. There we go. Ooh, man, queen f4, exclam, queen f6, exclam. Magnus don't play, dude. Magnus don't play. Oh, man. That's chess, my friends. That's chess. Welcome to the dojo. Oh, man, queen f6. What a great move. Queen b7, by the way, was played with 6 seconds and arguably naive because when Carlsen played queen f4, he had really tanked on this a little bit. So it wasn't like he was playing without ideas. Queen b7 might not have been it. I would have missed queen f6. That was a great move. Not so pleasant for a peasant, I'll tell you that. Now, one thought is like maybe black should try to bail here with a move like queen e7. And then again, we're going to get one of those rook endgames. But there, the pawn is going to be at least on b4 instead of on b3, like we saw in the other example. So a slightly better version. Oh, wow. Oh, man, Arjun, you're going to get cranked. Welcome to the top. Welcome to the top. Dang. We got a sensei eval here somewhere that I should use. Boom. No, that's not it. That's not it, buddy. Go get your sensei eval. Boom. There it is. Boom. All right. Good. And now I'll go over here and we'll say boom. Window capture. Boom. Boom. This is the human eval bar. I know it looks ridiculous for it. Just give me a second here. Vroom. 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 Part of this is just a challenge for me because although I believe white is better, it's a challenge for me to try to say like, well, how much better? So I'm going to start off, I'm going to say 1.2. I can easily change my mind here, but it looks like a 1.2 situation. Especially like queen e7 would be a good example of 1.2. Because unless white has some way of not trading queens effectively, that queen takes, rook takes b4 position, let's say rook eb7, is the kind of position that it's very close to winning. Very close to winning, yeah. Maybe, and Carlsen is different. Because like I'll say things like that looks winning. He'll be like, no, that is winning. That's the difference right there, my friends. That's the difference with the chump GM. Yeah. Is this a draw? Well, like I was saying, I think Magnus knows. It's definitely not a draw. Could black objectively hold it? That would be the other question. I think he's in big doo-doo. I think he definitely is missing moves like Queen F6. Queen F6 is a real star. And Queen E7 just is like, we're suffering then. That's just like, we're just admitting it. You know, like, yep, I'm suffering now. Gonna be some suffering in your future. Bom, bom, bom. We're also gonna get some more moves happening a little faster because Arjun here, he don't got that much time. Oh, cry. What happened? What happened to my human eval bar? What the? What? What happened there, man? That was dumb. What happened to my eval bar? Oh, I know what happened. I know what happened. I have to separate it. Oh, darn it. No, you don't get to separate it. Okay, I understand. I'm not allowed to look, but now I'm not allowed to look at the Twitch feed anymore. Or this one. Put it like that. I don't know. What a drag. Oh, yeah. What a... Cry's going to have to resign soon. Oh, okay. So. Okay. So, dude is tanking. He's in big trouble. Someone mentioned that 20 minutes, or I think it was earlier, as 12 minutes meant something. And I will tell you, 20 minutes definitely means something. 21 minutes now. Yeah, Arjun, welcome to the top, buddy. Who knows? Maybe Magnus will understand that the openings aren't like he was saying. Like he's been whining so hardcore about the openings destroying modern chess. And it's like, no, Magnus, we're still playing over here. We're still playing. Yeah. Nothing's going on here, Magnus. We're just playing games. But, you know, maybe he'll say, all right, I get it. I get it. I can play chess here. I can come back to the normal world. Someone's shouting at me on Discord. Oh, it's a sensei question. All right, here's the sensei question. I was joking in another thread about this, but thought it was worth submitting as a suggestion. Since 4.0 arrived, the training program has become more extensive with lots of new features. Would it be worth considering a ChessDojo for Dummies, or ChessDojo, the Missing Manual, type of book? Even if version 1.0 was just a way to collect all the information in a single doc that guides the new members through the entire process with tips, etc., it might be useful. It could also be a wiki-type doc that members contribute to. I realize that most of the information is already provided through different sources and the member responses to questions usually cover any holes, so perhaps it is not necessary. Well, I'm going to give my little reply here and say, not a bad idea. Did you know that we have an AI bot? Excuse me. Who is very good at answering all dojo related questions? Question mark. You can find it in the help section. There we go. Dude still hasn't moved. Oh man, this is just painful. This is painful. You need to move, my friend. You need to move. You need to move, Arjun. It's a real bummer, though, too. I mean, Yes, he's going to need the time later, but he needs to find something now, or else it's just kind of crispy critters. Yeah. I mean, maybe it's already all the way gone. I don't know. I think Queen E7 is our only hope. Luke, you're our only hope. So, like, I'm imagining Queen E7. Snip, snop, B4. Here. That looks real bad. We could start with H4 and then we'll try to bring the king over. No, that's not nice. Connor asks, is Rook D8 a threat by white? Well, right now, I don't think it's a big deal. I would say our threats are twofold. Rook here, followed by Rook D8, and the simplistic B4. Those are our threats. And unfortunately for black, this is not a threat, because we go snippos, hippos, crippos, jippos, snickos, and it's all over. That's the kind of backwards move, hitting the B2 pawn that probably dude missed. Yep. It's looking real bad. It's looking real bad. Oh, he's losing his mind. He's lost. He's lost it. Okay, someone says he made a move. I don't see it. I don't see it yet. Get rid of those arrows. All right, I'm going to get something to drink. I'll be right back. No, he still hasn't moved, dude. He still hasn't moved. Maybe Queen B3 is what Foo's Chess is saying. Okay. I like Queen B3. Let's look at Queen B3. Oh, wait, a move has been played. Rook E6. Okay. Now, 14 minutes spent. Wow, he played instantly. Magnus played instantly. Check. I would have taken a momentito, but maybe he came to the conclusion that Rook E6 was necessary. It's pretty basic though, because Now we keep the queens on. We're going to achieve b4. The rook is going to be behind the passed pawn. Our queen is going to maintain a beautiful central position. Right? This is great. Okay, took. I'm anticipating queen d4 and then b4. That looks lost to me. That looks lost. Okay, Grind. I'm going to put it at 1.6. That's my dojo eval here. Boom. So over here, bang. Did we get it right? 1.6. How come though the dojo eval? Oh, because David, right, we have to get rid of David's. That's what's going on. There we go. Boom. There it is. So we have a little dock when we do this thing, and then it averages it out. So I'm at 1.6, which is it's arguably winning, but that's kind of like right on the cusp. It's not resignable, you know? It's not resignable when you say that. Okay. Now, the reason in general I want queen d4 is, well, that's a great spot for the queen, for one. One thing, though, is that also I don't want to have queen e4 hit my rook, for example. I think he's looking at ways that black will defend. Like I'm going to say queen d4, but I don't know how black should defend. I'm assuming something nasty like king g8, you know. Baymon's talking about queen f3. Let's give that a try. So if you're going to do that, I guess you want to play here right away, right? Pinning yourself. A little weird. A little weird. I don't get it, though. I don't get it, because we're not... This queen is a monster. She's preventing absolutely everything. Yeah. Queen d4 check, we called it. King g8, I called it. Now, will Magnus finally move the pawn? He actually... I think he's going to have to move the pawn. Okay, there we go. Now, will Arjun assume the position and play rook b6? That looks terrible. Rook b6, I have rook e1. Oh no. That is really bad. Dang. Dang, Magnus makes it look easy, buddy. I got some delicious cherries. Somebody's probably going to be upset that I'm eating cherries and streaming at the same time. Rook e4 doesn't really seem to change much. Oh, this is terrible. Baymon, I know you're obsessed with queen f3, but notice there that rook e2, rook e4, queen c3, rook e2. We're still not threatening queen f3 because my queen on c3 is touching that coconut. A rook behind the passed pawn. It's so brutal. It's so brutal. And really, outside the obvious is that this whole thing where the queen is more active than the black queen, that's a big deal. And the queen's cutting those dark squares, so our king is better than his king, really. I guess it's similarly poor, but we're the ones with the nuts. Mm-hmm. Victor Ganesh says, hello there. I'm interested in to join your program. My English is not so good, and I don't believe that I have access to books. Is it a problem? Yes and no. So the English isn't so bad of a thing. And books, there's workarounds for books, you know. First of all, there's not that many books. And the ones that are there are either cheap, accessible as a Kindle, or, you could steal it, but don't tell anyone you did, that kind of thing. We're very against piracy at the dojo. However, we have some sympathy if you can't afford it. Okay, H5 was made. I thought this might come. I should have said it so I could get credit for it. Now, I don't think this H5 really changes the situation that much, but what it's going to do is tell white that, hey, I want you to be worried about the pawn to H4. Now, question for white. Should he just play B5 and not worry about H4 at all? Or should he just make the safety move and play H4 himself? My guess is both are winning for white. Connor says B5 feels right. I also H4 H4 also feels right. I guess if you play B5, black at least can hope to play rook E4 followed by H4. Was Magnus the greatest endgame player of all time? Yeah. Mm-hmm. It also has to be said, though, the endgame skill is just improved. And Magnus is one of the key people who improved it. But it's just getting get better in general. Magnus is evil as an endgame player. Now, black's hopes, if we play H4, are to somehow, it's not going to be easy, but to somehow make like a sacrifice on H4 leading to a perpetual work, or to achieve like a G5, HG, H4 type thing. Not an easy thing to achieve. But that will be his hope, and that will be Magnus's worry about playing H4. So we're kind of judging it on general grounds, and he's going to be calculating both of those. I don't know, Connor. Connor's writing about Magnus maybe writing an endgame book. I don't know, because writing a book is very hard. It's not just you knowing the material that will make it a good book. A lot of people would buy it just because it was Magnus. That's true. Magnus also has bigger business ambitions than writing a book. I like this h5 move from a competitive standpoint. At least it's like, you know, buddy, I might be toast here, but I'm going to try to make a little bit of play happen. Okay, we got to move. B5. Magnus don't care. Now, as far as I could tell, rook e4 was the only reasonable move, just to try to get h4m. Oh, I see something brutal. Well, first of all, rook e4, queen f6. If you play h4 right away, I again have this bad news. And that's crispy critters. Right? Okay. So, well, even there. Oh, that looks pretty bad. That looks pretty bad. So, but on queen f6, we still have to answer queen f6, rook e6. Maybe go like this. Queen f6, rook, queen. I don't know where to put him. Let's just put him here for a second. And then here. On h4, I can take because I can come back and take the pawn, take the rook. So that would be my concern. That's just lost, dude. I'm pushing that pawn. I'm gonna push that pawn. Okay. So b5 on the board. Arjun doesn't have that much time. Yeah, Baymon, that's just lost. A good rule of thumb is that, first of all, the rook doesn't want to be in front of the passed pawn. It's a great rule. And right, you can't ever win this pawn, I don't think, because our king is going to march up and take stuff. So your rook is poor and my rook is good. At some point I can do this. I will do things. Your rook isn't doing anything. So totally lost position. One of the nice things for Magnus and even a chump GM like myself is I know in advance that that's lost. I don't have to calculate that or anything. Yeah, if it isn't rook e4, I don't know what we're doing. Rook b6. Oh, that's a sad move, man. Oh, okay. Wait a sec. Maybe I got it. Maybe that's a clever move. Hold on. I think the intention is, let's say I hold the pawn somehow. Let's say queen c4. Then I play h4. All right? Then I play h4. Okay. Now, I still don't believe any of it. White has several good-looking moves here. Very basic one would be rook e1 now, threatening rook e8 with a mate. That looks very compelling, as they say. Now maybe it would go rook e1, but no, I don't know. Rook e1 looks devastating. Like rook e1. What are you gonna do? You can't move the queen here because the rook hangs. And if you move here, first of all, rook e8 might be a good move, but we're not interested in that. We want to play queen d7. This is the end, my friend. Gotta go there. Well, then I'll take here. Bang! Ah! Yeah, dude, rook e1 looks devastating. And the rook endgame. Foos Chess asks, am I correct that black would have a draw if the pawn was blockaded on b2? Now, I assume what he's talking about is a position with like a pawn on b2 and the rook here. Maybe let's just imagine all the pieces in the same place, but this pawn back here and the rook on b3. In general, we're going to say yes, there is still some problems in that position just because the dark squares around black's king are still weak, and I might be able to play rook e1. The other asset of the position is not the pawn, but the fact that my queen is so better centralized than your queen. So even there, white has the advantage, right? But would that be decidedly better than this situation? Oh, yes, it would. Now Connor's talking about this rook e1, queen b8, and I think queen d7 just ends it on the spot. I think. But with this one, I was a little uncertain because if we play f3, black magically has queen e2, and we're not able to play queen f2. But Magnus is calculating rook e1. There might be another move, too, like queen e5. Queen e5 is not the dumbest move anyone's ever seen. But rook e1 is the move. I was trying to slay him. I think maybe black could try to play rook e1, queen b8, queen d7, and then maybe this ugly looking move, king g7, with the intention that if I play rook e7, you play rook f6. And even that position looks terrible, but we're not resigning yet. All right, that's our position. Good. This is the time to calculate. Be very easy to play an impulsive rook e1 here, but dude is going to really try to work it out to the end. Move was played. Rook e1. I'm a GM today. Queen b8. Good. Now we're going to see. I liked queen d7, but after king g7, it was less clear than I wanted it to be. A bummer about queen d7 is it takes my queen off of its amazing square. Wait, I got it. Hold on. I mean, but come on. Queen d7, king g7, rook e8. You're getting hosed here, bud. And then queen b7, maybe. I don't believe any of this. Rook e8. Oh, it was Connor, I think, said this earlier. Okay, so wait. I had a very simple question. What's going on with queen e1, queen e4? Boom, boom, boom. F3 doesn't seem to work because of queen e2. All right, so this is like a chess puzzle. What is Carlson seeing that I'm not seeing here? Right, and Connor's saying maybe what's right is what if I just come towards the B pawn? Maybe. It's of course frightening though because checkeroonies are going to happen. Now, one thing we'll say is we definitely think queen h1, h2 is not it. No. I don't see, by the way, Connor, I don't see another idea for white besides this. So I assume this has got to be his idea. This position would make me real nervous just because I'm worried that my B pawn's going to fall. Like, how do I stop this happening? All right, queen b6. This is our position on the board. Now, the bummer for black is, dude, he needed the time. He needed the time on the clock. Queen e1 is the only move. That is the only move, my friends. D3. I think maybe somebody can tell me, but I think they're going to get 10 seconds extra every move after move 40. Fuchsia says, I'm assuming equal king activity, as in the present position. My point in asking is that I've read in more than one source that in the pure rook endgame, if the defending rook cannot get behind the pass pawn, then it should blockade as soon as possible. For sure, that's true. Okay. So, we have what we expected, and then if Connor's right, I also don't see what the idea besides king f1 would be. By the way, if we could play f3, queen f2, it would just be a dream. It would be a dream if we could do that, but we cannot. All right, things have happened. King f1, here he goes. He doesn't care. Magnus don't play here. Now for a chump GM, I would just be real nervous about him being able to perpetual me. Because my queen's not active and he's saying, no, I got it, boss. I'm just going to walk on up. I don't got any worry at all. Oh, the time is definitely going to be a factor. Because, yeah, these things are really complicated. If you watch the finale, I did a video on it. Unfortunately, it's not coming out ever because our vid team takes forever. Matt, I'm talking to you. But that game, Carlson Gukesh, if he had had more time, he would have been able to hold it. So, queen d3, king. Oh, I just saw something weird. No, that's not true. I was thinking queen d3, king g1. If queen d1, we can do our trick. But if queen d3, king g1, it just goes queen b1. Very simple. So queen d3, king e1, queen c3, let's just say king e2. And he's really claiming that I'm just going to be able to walk up the board. Dang. Because you have to walk up the board, and also, like, the dream is to be able to play the queen back at some point. When you play the queen back at some point, as we've seen, you have to be able to not lose your B pawn. One of the great things about these queen endgames, though, just a thing to understand when you're playing them, is if you... the value of the passed pawn shoots up dramatically. So you could lose a bunch of pawns. We might lose some pawns on the king side. We don't care. We don't care because we know from experience that that baby on b5 is just so powerful. And it happens so fast once black gives us the initiative. Oh, man. Oh, Arjun, buddy. Yeah, he's saying he can walk it all the way up. He doesn't care. It's very reminiscent of the Carlsen-Gukesh game. There we also had a big walk-up. All right, queen d3 played as expected. We are expecting king e1. Instant. Check. King e2. You have a strong sense, don't we, that Carlsen has kind of worked this out, buddy. I've lost endgames like this. I guess I've won them too. What was surprising to me, though, well, I'm still not entirely convinced there's not some magical trick that black can use to mess with white here, you know? There could be some weird study-like thing that you know, because our queen still has to come back, and we can't lose our frickin' pawn. All right, queen c2. All right. I want to stress king e3 is el natural move, but king f3 might be annoying. Okay, king e3. Queen c3. Okay. Now, is there any magic for black after king e4? This would be the kind of thing I'd be worried about if I was white. Because then you're committed to saying on queen c4 that you're marching, and you got to make sure there's no drama there for you. You're not going to get mated or anything. And you have to also feel good about the f5 check. And you're saying, I'm just sliding in, boss. I'm just sliding in. I don't care about nothing. Magnus is finally double checking. Magnus is maybe sensing a problem. Maybe I blew it, man. Maybe I blew it. All right, let's put king e4 on the board and just try to imagine what kind of drama. Let's see, he moved. King e4. He's just double checking. Don't try this at home, folks. Queen c4 check. Now, Magnus wants to play king e5. Is there something wrong with king e5? Sometimes you can get yourself mated when this happens to you, you know. King e5. Magnus don't care. One nice thing is maybe somebody could be worried about like f6, king f6, queen f7. I'm worried I'm getting mated. But on f6, the thematic move is actually just king d6, because that's where I want to go anyway. I want to get towards my pawn. I'm aiming towards my pawn. Dang. Like if it was white's move, I think king d6 might be the move anyway. Queen c6 also comes to mind. Queen d8 comes to mind. But I'm just saying king d6 is part of the drama. You're kind of running out of checks soon, too. On queen c3, I guess there's queen d4 in addition to ye old king d6. 20 seconds left. Oh, I'm sorry, Arjun, bud. I'm sorry. Okay, king g7, perhaps. So, importantly, the queen is holding f7. So that if we play queen f6, we can play king h7. If we had to go back, we'd be worried about a check, a rooney, and then some kind of b6. Okay. Now Magnus should think, of course. One typical blunder would be queen f6, king h7, b6, and then white would lose on queen c3. Don't do that. So... candidate moves are queen c6, king d6. So on queen c6, we're willingly sacrificing the f2 pawn, right? So queen c6, queen e2, king d6, queen f2, and then we're going to say, dude, b6, and we're rolling, like the song says, you know, because we're rolling, they're hating, like that. Riding dirty. They're hating. Oh, I love the patience here from Magnus. Just take it nice and easy, buddy. Both look good, king d6 and queen c6. In some ways, king d6 is more thematic because you just want to bring that king over and you don't want to lose contact with your pawn on f2. Also, maybe the queen belongs on the dark squares anyway, you know. And of course, you got to calculate king d6, like queen e6, king c7, queen e7, king b8, queen, I don't know, f8. No, we're going to block you, buddy. We're going to block you, man. Yep. Because I'm riding dirty. Once that pawn starts rolling. Magnus is not getting yelled at in the next grad show. That's right. No getting yelled at for you, bud. All right. I think I'm gonna, you know, maybe they're close to resignations. I kind of want to look at the other games at the moment, too. I lost a very bitter queen and king endgame at the first round of the U.S. Senior last year to GM Malikset Kashian, and it was beyond painful. And it involved his king running in. And I thought I was holding it. Maybe I was, but I was just these things are so brutal. You're exhausted, dude, at the end. And this king, and you're like, can I find a way to perpetualize this dumb king? And, you know, turns out not so easy. And the queen, you know, she's just brutal. She protects her man, the pawn protects her man, and they form a little triumvirate down there, marching down the road. Where is David today, Connor? You give him a call, dude. No, he said he couldn't do it today, the bum. Yeah, he's off searching for like problem-like solutions to. I would guess in the way Magnus's mind works is like he would say, King D6 is the move I want to play. I'm going to analyze to see if there's some weird problem-like solution perpetual to it. Cry doesn't see it, but that's because he's a bum, you know? But maybe Magnus does see it, right? Yeah, I think he just run out of checks, dude. The checks are over. Okay. Quick thing here. They're riding dirty. Okay, let's go back and just look at the other games briefly. Well, he moved finally. H4! Look at that, dude! Magnus don't play, dude. He's just like, I'll play H4. I'll just deny all the counterplay. Oh, that was amazing. Now, Queen D3. Okay, so now Queen F6 is possible. And King H7, we just take the pawn on F7. So that's a possibility for us. I guess King G8, and he's saying it's still not so simple. Queen D3 is kind of nice because you're cutting the white king off from coming in. The very basic thematic move could be Queen C5. Still saying that I'm just going to walk it on in. Wow, H4, dude. H4. Queen C6 is still available, though, you know, now it's not as good because then when I take here, I'm threatening this. Okay, let's look what happened. Queen C5, thematic. Thematic. Yeah, I don't see it. White's just walking in. Dang, check. When you're in time pressure, that's all you got. And now King D6, of course. Yep. He might resign, honestly. Looks like resigns. Yep. Dang! Hang! That was a clinic, buddy. That was a clinic. That was a hell of a game, dude. That was a hell of a game. Jackson asked, what is the idea behind H4? Part of it is Zugzwang, and part of it is, you know, his opponent. He knows his opponent doesn't know H4 is coming, and he just calculated everything and said, you're not moving anything anyway, buddy. You're not doing nothing. Nothing. So if we go back, King G7, like I'm thinking of active things for white, right? But Carlson put the question totally different. And he said, excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. What is your next move? If you play Queen D3, that gives me this square. If you check me, I'm coming in anyway in a better circumstances. There's no F6 because I'll just take it with check. So it was like a Zugzwang situation, bows. Dang, that's cold. That is very cold. That's the next level too. I'm sure he was winning with like King D6 and stuff, but H4, that was next level. Oh, all right, let's go see what the games are, then I got to get out of here. So, boom. Fabi, what's going on, buddy? Mess. Mess is what's going on. Don't play queen takes C8, whatever you do. All right, Fabi has been down a pawn forever. He's still down a pawn. He's still down a pawn. My dad, he has got compensation. Okay, let's go look at Naka. Naka is down a pawn. Naka might be really upset with himself. He should hold this, though. You'd think, right? No way, you can try and try and try. There's no doubt. Okay. So, next thing I got to do. I got to go over here. No, I got to go over here. And I got to... Let's go look at my weekly business. And... Oh, gosh. What did I do here? So... I did this yesterday and today. So, update progress. All right. I didn't do... I did 40 minutes yesterday. Just to start my day. We'll say... Oh, and what did I do up to? That's a good question. Darn it. I got too many things on my desk. I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my mind. I went up to 168. Say update. Those things are hard, man. Then I do it for today. And today I did it for 55 minutes. And I got up to 172. They were hard, dude. Update. Okay. Then today I did this, update progress, and I did this for, let's give myself an hour and a half. Might have been more, but I was talking to you guys and all that stuff. That was today. Update, and then I did about an hour of this today. Update. Beautiful. Okay, now my friends, I got to get out of here. Check. There should be videos coming up out. I'm wondering where they are. I don't know. Gonna raid somebody. Let's raid friend of the dojo, LaFong Hua. I haven't seen that guy in forever, but he's still doing his thing. LaFong Hua, boom. He's still doing his thing. Oh, man, I'm tired. I got to get out of here. All right, my friends. It was a good show. Might be back tomorrow, but we got some things to do tomorrow, too. Bye.